Our MC, Ichijo Shinya, is running through a rundown building alongside 5 of his crew members who are specialized in taking down zombies in this post-apocalyptic and terrifying world. This hellish way of life is how Ichijo and a few others have been surviving for the past 5 years in this kill-or-be-killed society. Realizing that the zombies are catching up, one of the crew suggests that they hold out and fight the zombies. In a desperate move, Ichijo and his guys grab a long pole, which they use to push back the zombies. The group then resorts to a genius move of using the pipe as a bridge for a grenade to reach the zombies. The grenade explodes, decimating the zombies and in turn our favorite MC and his group the chance to move forward. Suddenly, they notice that a safety house has appeared right in front of them. They have just 2 minutes before the zone closes, and they have to enter the safety house before then. Our MC recounts how life has been for the past 5 years, and how they got there in the first place. Apparently, there was a great catastrophe that suddenly struck the Earth 5 years ago, which instantly robbed humanity of its peace. Since the catastrophe happened, spaces called special zones of various difficulty levels have been randomly appearing around the world. The special zones are cut off from the outside world, and massive hordes of zombies attack the trapped humans who couldn't enter the special zones. Ichijo continues saying that clearing missions and finding the safety house means a guaranteed escape. In addition to this, stats increase, and one can also acquire items needed for survival. However, those who fail to reach the safety house within the time limit become zombies. In 6 months, 80% of humanity became zombies, and the world plunged into what can be considered hell. Humans who are able to survive within the special zones constantly grow stronger. Because of this, lots of people grew stronger in the harsh environment. To gain more rewards, the strong humans aim for the Grand Slam to clear all the zones up to level 100, and at that moment, for the first time, a level 100 zone has appeared. Ichijo is on the verge of clearing the final level zone, and he is being supported by his 5 other companions. They run toward the safety house with the mindset that they are going to become the first Grand Slam achiever. Ichijo is already dreaming of his achievement when a big zombie known as the Gatekeeper appears beside them. Ichijo quickly tells his comrades to fall back, and the zombie swings into the building to cut off their access to the safety house. Ichijo admits that the zombie standing in front of them is completely different from the ones they have fought in the past. However, Ichijo doesn't see this as a hindrance since they need to defeat the zombie if they are ever going to get the chance to reach the safety house. Ichijo then asks his comrades if they have any useful items left. They tell him that the only items left with them are 5 haste potions and 1 power potion. With this, Ichijo makes a quick plan. He wants to draw the zombie's attention to himself, giving his comrades the time to use the haste potion to hold it down. Once this is done, Ichijo then reveals that he is going to use the power potion to deliver a finishing blow. They are only going to get 1 chance with this, and Ichijo urges his comrades to put in their best. Ichijo is handed the supposed power potion, but when he drinks it, he figures out that it has a terrible taste. Nonetheless, he drinks the potion but soon realizes that the zombie is getting the better of him since he cannot muster any strength. Ichijo is left to wonder what sort of potion he was given by his comrades. Just then, one of his comrades tells him that it is their turn to shine. The 5 then bring out potions that they have kept for themselves. With the haste potion, the 5 receive buffs. Ichijo, on the other hand, is still struggling with the zombie, and his stats are even getting nerfed. Ichijo wonders if his friends made a mistake in giving him the weak potion instead of the power potion. Just then, Ichijo hears one of them telling him that it wasn't a mistake. Apparently, they specially prepared the potion to get him to become weak. Ichijo has no choice but to fight the zombie that is trying to get him. The leader of the traitors then thanks Ichijo for being a stepping stone for him and the others. They stroll past him as he battles the zombie without offering any help. With seconds left on the clock, Ichijo's comrades start running into the safety house. The leader of the traitors then tells Ichijo that he is going to tell everyone about his heroic deeds. In fact, the traitor is already waiting for the day he is going to become a zombie so he can unalive him. Ichijo screams in pain and the realization that he has been betrayed by those he called his friends. Just then, the zombie slashes his chest with her long nails. Standing in front of the zombie with nothing to fight back, Ichijo wonders if this is how he is going to die after everything he has given. The time limit for the safety house is down, leaving Ichijo to reminisce over everything so far. Ichijo cannot believe that he died in the worst possible way. He has been fighting zombies, but now he is about to become one too. Ichijo is hell-bent on having his revenge against those who betrayed him, even if he turns into a zombie. Just then, Ichijo's consciousness starts to fade, and Ichijo realizes that he is dying. Everything goes dark, and when Ichijo opens his eyes, he sees a guy, Mineta, staring down at him. Ichijo is in some sort of high school, and Mineta and his boys want Ichijo to pay them money. Ichijo, alongside a fatty, is being tormented by Mineta and his gang. Ichijo is able to figure out that he is currently on the rooftop where he was usually bullied when he was in high school. Initially, Ichijo doesn't understand what is happening. The fatty, trying to avoid getting beaten up, throws Ichijo under the boss, telling the bullies where Ichijo usually keeps his money. Looking at all the factors, Ichijo is able to figure out that he has somehow returned to before the Great Catastrophe. Curious about his surroundings, Ichijo asks Mineta for the date. Mineta cannot believe that Ichijo has the guts to ask him questions. Mineta then tells Ichijo to bring out his money quickly, but the next thing Mineta sees is a punch hitting his face so hard that he is thrown to the floor. His minions are shocked, and they all shout his name in unison. Even the students who are watching cannot believe that Ichijo just hit Mineta. Ichijo, looking all scary, tells the bullies that he hates repeating himself. Apparently, Ichijo crossed back to the past with his powers, and because of this, Ichijo is confident that he is not going to end up being a loser. Talking of Mineta, he is a third-year high school student who is basically a bully. He steals money from students under the guise of protecting them, and the teachers cannot say anything to this because Mineta has the mafia backing him. In his past life, Ichijo was the most bullied since he lost his mother early on in life, and he had no choice but to work part-time jobs to earn a living. This made him a perfect target for Mineta and his goons. Even when Ichijo gave them everything he had, they still came back for more and more. Everyone else feels safe as long as Ichijo is the one getting picked on. However, now that he is back in his previous life with his power, Ichijo knows everything is going to be different. The students watching cannot believe that Ichijo just hit Mineta, and they all conclude that Ichijo is dead meat already. Out of rage, Mineta's gang members rush toward Ichijo, but the first guy also gets a taste of what Mineta had. During the zombie apocalypse, Ichijo was training every day just so he could survive, and he spent countless nights without sleep. He almost died those times, but he managed to survive against all odds. And now, a bunch of high school bullies are trying to get on his nerves. Ichijo doesn't hold back as he delivers painful punches to their faces, chests, and wherever he can hit them. Ichijo has come to hate bullies since he was betrayed by those he called his comrades, and the humans who lost their ethics and morals in the apocalyptic world are worse than zombies. They are the kind of people who would point a gun at their comrades because of their own selfishness. Now that he has a chance to change things up, Ichijo is not about to mess it up. While Ichijo is beating down his guys, Mineta is left to wonder if he is the same Ichijo that they usually toy with. The fatty was left in shock and disbelief that Ichijo had always been this strong. Mineta refuses to believe what is clearly in front of his eyes. He thinks Ichijo just hit a fluke by using a technique he picked up online. He angrily dashes at Ichijo, but as expected, Ichijo blocks the attack with just his arm. Mineta also noticed that there are no traces of fear in Ichijo's eyes, and to make it even worse, there is bloodlust written all over him. Mineta comes to the bitter realization that he seems to be getting scared of Ichijo, but Ichijo doesn't hold back when he hits Mineta in the head with his knee. Mineta falls to the ground with blood pouring out of his face. The students are even more terrified that Ichijo just destroyed Mineta and his gang. They too are scared because they all bullied Ichijo, and they are fearful of getting the same treatment that Mineta just did. Ichijo then notices that his previous life's power isn't completely carried over, and in addition to that, he still doesn't know what day it is yet. He turns around to see that everyone, including the guys he previously beat, has vanished into thin air. The only person left is the fatty, and just as he is about to run away, Ichijo stops him. Fatty almost pisses his pants when he hears Ichijo calling him. Ichijo asks him where he is running to, and with fear, he replies that he is heading to the class. However, Ichijo is not about to just let him go like that, since he still needs to teach him a lesson. After beating Fatty up, Ichijo learns that he has come back to the 20th of April, 2024. In just 1 month, special zones will appear, and this will be the start of the apocalypse. Ichijo has accessed his power, and he realizes that he only crossed over with about 30% of his power. Knowing what is about to happen in a month, Ichijo figures out that survival supplies are very important. Ichijo then tries opening his inventory, and it actually works. Ichijo is glad that his inventory crossed over with him, but all the items he has over there are gone. His inventory level was also level 50, but now it has become level 1. At the beginning of the apocalypse, special zones appeared around the world, making functions in society abruptly come to an end. Humanity with nothing to protect them was plunged into the depths of terror, and surviving became the greatest challenge for humanity. Because of the chaos, conflicts erupted over resources. Humans without morals didn't hold back from hurting the weak among them. And since there is no regularity to zone appearances, supplies can't be stored in fixed locations. Because of this, everyone possessed level 1 inventories. Acquired supplies could then be stored in the inventories, and anything can be stored inside except humans, since time doesn't exist inside the inventory, making it hard to preserve living things. There are advanced inventories that can store more supplies, and with this, humanity's survival rate was increased. In his previous life, Ichijo desperately expanded his inventory till it became as large as a basketball court. Now that he has crossed over, the inventory has dropped to level 1. But Ichijo believes that it is still sufficient for him. Since he needs to expand his inventory and secure sufficient supplies, he needs money and a large amount of money for that. With everything he knows from his past life, Ichijo knows that he can grow at an exceptional rate. And in the end, Ichijo still has his eyes on his comrades who betrayed him. His quest for vengeance against them is also top of his list. Meanwhile, Mineta's gang brother, Hatano, and his gang are conducting their daily business when Mineta comes back all bloodied. Hatano hears that his brother failed to collect the daily fees, and this gets him mad. Before Mineta can say anything, he gets hit in the face. He almost falls to the ground, but he is caught by one of the gang members. Hatano is mad that his brother came back empty-handed and he plans to punish him for that. He collects a baseball bat ready to hit his brother, but Mineta quickly speaks up, telling him that all of his comrades were beaten up by just one person. Hatano hears this, and he orders Mineta to bring Ichijo to him after school. Mineta realizes that his big brother is so pissed off already, and seeing this, he concludes that Ichijo is dead meat. With what Ichijo remembers, Hatano is the one backing Mineta. Hatano was a former professional baseball player, and he was a slugger who mass-produced home runs with his incredible swing speed. However, he had a bad temperament and repeatedly used violence against his teammates who made mistakes. He became a tyrant, and eventually, he was expelled from the team after beating a teammate with a bat. Because of this, his career as a baseball player ended, and he became a person of the underworld. Ichijo is heading out after school when the fatty runs over to stop him. He asks him where he is going, and Ichijo points out that since classes are over, he is going home, which should be pretty obvious to his dull brain. Fatty tells Ichijo that Mineta and his gang are probably waiting for him at the school gate, and if he tries stepping out, he is going to be unalived. Just as the fatty said, Mineta and a bunch of thugs are waiting for Ichijo at the gate. The fatty tries to affiliate himself with Ichijo, asking him what they should do since the thugs have spotted them already. Ichijo just ignores everything the fatty is saying, telling him that he needs to go home. The fatty is scared for Ichijo's life, and he mentions that the thugs with Mineta are not as soft as him. Since zones will appear in a month, Ichijo has a lot on his plate to do before then. He gets to the gate, and as expected, Ichijo is stopped by the goons. They suggest that he respectfully follow them to avoid getting embarrassed. Since Ichijo knows that he can't do things alone, he needs the forces behind Mineta. Without lifting a finger, Ichijo enters the car with the thugs, and together, they drive off. They soon arrive at their hideout, where Hatano is waiting for them. The thugs tell Hatano that Ichijo came quietly without causing them issues. Unknown to them, Ichijo has plans for them, and this is why he punched Mineta. Ichijo stands in front of the scary Hatano, but he shows no sign of fear. Hatano even notices that Ichijo is pretty calm, but Mineta believes that Ichijo is scared. Mineta then suggests that Ichijo get on his knees and ask for forgiveness. He lets him know that this is the only way he gets to go home. One of the thugs comes closer, telling Ichijo that he needs to prepare a huge amount of money, but before he can finish the trash he wants to say, Ichijo punches him in the face. This immediately forces the others to respond. One thug comes swinging his baseball bat at Ichijo, but he easily dodges it and kicks him in the stomach. Suddenly, Ichijo is grabbed from behind by a big guy. He holds Ichijo down, waiting for his goons to teach him a lesson, but Ichijo uses his leg to raise the bat in front of him, and he hits the big guy with it. He is able to free himself before the other thugs reach him. He blocks an incoming attack and then counters with a punch to the face. One of the thugs manages to land a hit on Ichijo, but just as they are about to start celebrating, they realize that the bat hit Ichijo's bag and not him. Blocking the attack at close range shocks the goons more. Ichijo kicks the thug in the neck to knock him out. In just a few seconds, Ichijo has managed to take down all of Hatano's men. Even Mineta is hiding behind Hatano like a scared chicken. Mineta cannot believe that Ichijo has suddenly become so strong. However, Mineta believes that Ichijo doesn't have what it takes to fight Hatano. Hatano charges at Ichijo and swings his bat, but Ichijo easily dodges it. Ichijo counters with a strike of his own, but Hatano manages to dodge, thanks to his experience. With just this, Hatano is able to assess the situation, and he realizes that Ichijo has combat experience more than what a high school student should have. Before Hatano knows what is happening, Ichijo has gotten to him. Ichijo swings his bat, but he manages to dodge it. However, Ichijo takes another swing in quick succession, and Hatano gets hit in the face. Hatano falls to the ground, leaving even Mineta in shock. Hatano coughs up blood and comes to the conclusion that Ichijo is not moving like a regular high school student. In addition to this, he notices that Ichijo is teeming with bloodlust. Hatano doesn't want to admit it, but he now realizes that Mineta made an enemy of a strong opponent. Hatano also figures out that Ichijo never saw them as anything right from the start. In a surprising turn of events, Hatano tells Ichijo that he is withdrawing from the matter. He lets Ichijo know that he is free to do with Mineta whatever he wants. Hatano is even willing to give Ichijo his territory. Ichijo then scares Hatano when he tells him that he is interested in him, not stupid Mineta. Later that night, Hatano is seen at a club, talking to one of his underworld subordinates, Hiraguri. Hatano wants Hiraguri to help him take down Ichijo. Hiraguri considers it an easy job, but for it, he wants a third of the earnings coming from Hatano's territory. Hatano is shocked at the ridiculous offer that Hiraguri is making, but Hiraguri doesn't care because Hatano is the one who needs his help. Hatano then remembers Ichijo telling him earlier that he is going to move him up, but he still doesn't know what Ichijo means by this. Even though he is baffled by what Ichijo says, Hatano is not ready to just let him live. Hatano is desperate enough to accept Hiraguri's deal, and he suggests that they conduct the operation that night. However, Hiraguri doesn't think Hatano has to rush. They are in the middle of this conversation when they hear one of the security guys yelling at someone to back away. Just as expected, it is none other than Ichijo. Hatano is shocked to see Ichijo, and he wonders how he found the place. Ichijo then turns things on their head when he declares that he came to the lounge on Hatano's orders. Before coming to the lounge, Ichijo had already assessed his body in his room during a training exercise, and he realized that his current body was still weak. He knows that he needs to build his body up if he is going to avenge what his comrades did to him. Now that he is in the club, Hiraguri berates Hatano for allowing Ichijo to barge into the lounge like a fool. Hatano tries telling Hiraguri that he has no ties with Ichijo, but Ichijo makes things worse when he reveals that he has taken care of the guards outside, and he pins this on Hatano's orders. Hiraguri demands the camera footage, and he is shocked to see his guys all knocked out. One of Hiraguri's men doesn't want to believe that Ichijo beat the guys. He assumes that Ichijo drugged them or something. Hatano is now caught up in whether what Ichijo said to him in the afternoon could be true. In anger, Hiraguri comes at Hatano with a bottle, but Ichijo throws something at the bottle to break it before it hits Hatano. This shocks Hatano, leaving him to wonder how Ichijo was able to pull it off. The guys are now starting to realize that Ichijo is not an ordinary student because his reaction speed is crazy. Hiraguri then orders his men to go after Ichijo. Hiraguri turns to Hatano, asking him if he is planning to take him down. Hiraguri reminds Hatano that the organization has a rule of not touching their own, but since Hatano is the first to break it, he doesn't care. Hatano tries telling Hiraguri that everything that is happening is a misunderstanding, and he has no part in it. Just then, one of Hiraguri's men holds Hatano from behind. Hatano tells Hiraguri that he doesn't know how Ichijo found the lounge. He adds that Ichijo was the one he wanted Hiraguri to help him take care of. Hiraguri then tells Hatano that he really doesn't care about Ichijo. His eyes are on Hatano because everything that Hatano has will become his once he is able to terminate him. Realizing that Hiraguri is not ready to hear him out, Hatano decides to fight back. He grabs the guy holding him down and smashes him to the ground while making it known that he has no intention of dying in the lounge. Hatano plans to escape since everything has turned out pretty badly. However, he still doesn't know what Ichijo's game plan is. Hiraguri's boys come charging at Ichijo, but he easily beats them up. Even Hiraguri is shocked when he sees Ichijo taking down 2 people in just a second. He is forced to question his take on Ichijo. Hiraguri is not ready to take any chances and tells everyone in the lounge to go after Ichijo. Just as instructed, they all come rushing at Ichijo, but Ichijo is just too fast and swift for them. He delivers punches and kicks to their vital body parts before they can even react. At some point, they manage to hold him down, but when another guy comes rushing at him with a pole, Ichijo kicks a knocked-out thug at the attacker to throw him off balance. The attacker ends up hitting his comrade on the head with his weapon. Ichijo then uses force to step on the thug holding him from behind, and that one screams out in pain. Ichijo then finishes him off with an elbow to the face. Ichijo continues moving like water as he swiftly dispatches the thugs like it is nothing. He uses different techniques to hit them in the face, neck, head, chest, and other vital areas to knock them out. Watching this act of monstrosity is Hiraguri, and he is gripped with fear. Hiraguri cannot believe that Ichijo has taken down all of his boys just by himself. He realizes that by the time Ichijo is done dealing with his boys, he is going to be next on the list. At this rate, even his territory will be lost. Hiraguri then decides that the best course of action is to terminate Ichijo right there. He pulls out his gun, ready to shoot Ichijo, but Hatano slaps it out of his hand. Hiraguri is shocked, and he questions Hatano's actions. Hatano then reveals that he can't stand by while he watches Hiraguri use a gun against a kid. Hiraguri gets mad, reminding Hatano that he was also beaten by the same kid. He urges Hatano not to interfere so he can finish Ichijo off. However, Hatano cannot allow this to happen because he knows that once Ichijo is taken out, there is no way that he is going to escape. Hatano has now come to the realization that having Ichijo by his side is a good thing. Hiraguri decides that Hatano should die, and he comes at him with a bottle. Hatano stands there, pondering his decision. With Ichijo's involvement and all, he knows that he has become an enemy of the organization. Even if he manages to escape, the organization will definitely come after him. Just as Hiraguri gets closer, Hatano makes the decision that Ichijo is his only lifeline, even though he is just a high school student. Hiraguri gets close enough for Hatano to deliver an unexpected, powerful punch to his face to throw him to the floor. Like a coward that he is, Hiraguri runs for the gun again. He aims the gun at Hatano, telling him that he is dead. He lets Hatano know that his territory has now become his, but before he can pull the trigger, Ichijo comes flying toward him. With a powerful kick to the face, Ichijo takes care of Hiraguri. After the battle is over, Hatano sits down to reflect on everything that has happened. He can't believe that in just one day, Ichijo took down everyone. Ichijo then walks over to Hatano to remind him of what they talked about in the afternoon. Hatano has no choice but to ask Ichijo why he picked him out of everyone. Ichijo replies that he picked him because he was the person he met. Hatano then realizes that he needs to be grateful for that, or else he will be one of the guys lying on the floor. Hatano then asks Ichijo what he plans to do with the place. Ichijo tells Hatano to make it his territory, reminding him that he already promised to move him up. Hatano promises that he is going to try, but he mentions the fact that the organization will come after them because of what just happened. Hatano asks Ichijo what he wants to do, or what he wants him to do about their predicament. Ichijo replies that since it is inconvenient for him to appear in public, he's going to stay in the shadows while Hatano runs things on the outside. He assures Hatano that just like he did tonight, he plans to expand his influence and push him up. Ichijo wants Hatano to get all the money from his organization because he needs a lot of cash. Hatano is shocked to hear this, and he actually has something to say, but he realizes that nothing he says will change anything. Hatano then decides to make a toast to Ichijo's crazy plan. He hands him a cup of strong wine, but Ichijo walks off, reminding Hatano that he is still a high school student. Ichijo then asks Hatano if he has any money on him. Hatano assumes that he is getting robbed by Ichijo, and he hands him all the money he has with him, even promising to get more if the one with him is not enough. However, Ichijo tells Hatano that all he wants is cash for a taxi fare. Hatano is shocked when he hears this, as he doesn't want to believe that he teamed up with someone who is so poor he doesn't have the money to pay for his own taxi. Ichijo then asks Hatano about his manpower. Hatano reveals that Hiraguri has about 50 men working for him, and to put it into perspective, they are of higher quality than his subordinates. Since Hiraguri are assigned special jobs like cleaning up, they are supplied with weapons like pew-pew from the organization. Hatano also has about 30 people under him, and combined with the ones they just secured, Hatano is confident that they have successfully doubled their current fighting power. Ichijo then asks about funding. Hatano reveals that he and Hiraguri are close when it comes to funding because low-ranking guys like them don't get much money. They are basically pawns to raise money for those who are above them. There is Ogane Ren, who runs casinos, bars, and nightclubs. There is Kawase Teruhisa, who handles bodyguard services. And then Koyanagawa Tatsuya is the one who manages all the funds. Apparently, Tatsuya has a birthday celebration coming up next week. It is typical that everyone gives presents. In the eyes of regular people, it might be presents, but to those who are in the game, they know that it is tribute money. Because of the upcoming birthday, Hatano and Hiraguri were desperately gathering funds, but everything has now come to an end, all thanks to Ichijo's crazy plan. Ichijo then tells Hatano not to worry because he plans to get him the high position very soon. In reality, Hatano was trying to scare Ichijo off, but it seems his talk even made things worse. Hatano then suggests that they exchange contact information, but Ichijo lets him know that he doesn't have a cell phone. Hatano cannot believe that Ichijo is so poor that he doesn't have a cell phone. Since Hiraguri and his men are unconscious, Ichijo asks if he's going to clean up the mess, and he says yes. Hatano lets him know that he has already called people, and he assures Ichijo that he is going to keep the guys in line. Just then, Mineta and the other guys under Hatano show up. Mineta is left in disbelief as he stares at all the unconscious bodies lying on the floor. He is more shocked when he sees Ichijo with Hatano. Ichijo is not ready to start a discussion, and just as he is about to leave, Hatano stops him. Hatano calls Mineta over and tells him to give him the new cell phone he just bought. Hatano then hands the phone over to Ichijo, telling him that all the contact information he needs is in there. Ichijo initially rejects the phone, but Hatano insists. Hatano then tries to act all cool by hugging Ichijo, but Ichijo doesn't move like that, and he slaps his arm off. Ichijo tells Hatano not to overthink things and just follow his instructions. Ichijo then starts to walk away. Hatano is forced to ask Mineta if Ichijo is truly his classmate. Mineta confesses that up until that day, Ichijo was a wimp. Hatano then tells Mineta that Ichijo took down all of Hiraguri's men by himself. Mineta is left in disbelief when he hears this. Hatano noticed the killing intent from Ichijo before he left, and Hatano understands this because Ichijo doesn't trust him yet. As Ichijo walks in the street, he thinks about Hatano addressing him as his comrades. Ichijo believes that he doesn't need comrades because he is on a lone mission. He has just one goal, and this is revenge. Just then, he sees a video of Ijuin Nozomi playing on the billboards. Nozomi was one of the guys who betrayed him. Nozomi's father is the president of a large company. In Ichigo's previous life, right after the catastrophe, Nozomi's company was the first to analyze survival rules. Using their subordinates to gather materials, they were able to upgrade their inventories. The group prepared massive inventories, and they hoarded large quantities of supplies. In the harsh world where everyone was trying to survive, the company's actions became extreme. The company didn't care about the well-being of others, and they remained above ordinary people. Ichijo knows that even though he is reborn, he still doesn't have what it takes to make contact with them, let alone get his revenge. Ichijo concludes that he needs loads of money for the apocalypse and also to get his revenge. He also wants to find opposing forces and weaken them before the apocalypse. Ichijo promises to return the pain Nozomi gave him tenfold. Ichijo stands at the entrance of the bus and loses himself in thought until another passenger calls his attention. Ichijo turns back to look at the lady, and what he sees is a zombie staring at him. Subconsciously, he reacts to this and leaps backward. He wonders why there is a zombie when the great catastrophe has not yet begun. However, taking a closer look, Ichijo realizes that the lady and everyone else in the area are normal people, just going about their daily lives. Ichijo believes that he just hallucinated, but then he hears a strange voice in his head. This was the same voice he heard when he was reborn. Ichijo then looks up to see a special zone above him. This contributes to his fear because the catastrophe has not begun, but he is seeing things like it already has. He then notices that no one else is reacting to the special zone, which means he is the only one seeing it. Just then, he hears the voice again, and he realizes that the voice is guiding him to the zone. He wonders if he should go or not. After a brief moment of thought, he dashes toward the zone without minding the traffic. He gets to the entrance of the zone and it dawns on Ichijo that he will be the only one who can enter a month early. Every item obtained in the zone cannot be obtained in the real world. If the zone is real, Ichijo realizes that he can use this to prepare his inventory for the apocalypse. With the high rewards at stake, Ichijo doesn't mind the risk. With this, he enters the special zone with an entry level of 1. Upon entering the zone, Ichijo is given a special mission. The system tells him to defeat 15 normal zombies and 1 mutant zombie in under 1 hour. In the space of 1 hour, he is also supposed to find the safety house, and he has a special reward for this too. Ichijo is surprised by this, as there was nothing like this in his previous life. He believes that this change is related to his rebirth, and then he considers it an advantage to his goal. Ichijo decides to focus on the mission and clear it. He remembers that in his previous life, just to find a safe house was always difficult. However, this time, all he has to do is defeat 15 zombies and 1 mutant zombie. Without saying too much, he knows that preparation is the only way he can survive in the zone. Apparently, when entering the zone, one is usually transported to a safe location. At the same safe location, the players can get basic survival items. Players can only get fundamental items like an axe and a first aid box. Any other important items must be gathered in the zone. Ichijo plans to take everything of importance from the safe location, and even if he doesn't use them during the mission, he can always use them later since they are kept in his inventory. Ichijo narrates that the most important things aren't survival items, but magic ore and crystal stones obtained at the safety house. These magic ores can then be combined with money to expand inventory. Magic ore quality is also divided into 4 ranks. The higher the zone level, the higher the probability of obtaining high-quality magic ore. Therefore, higher quality magic ore is more effective for inventory expansion. In addition to this, the special elements contained in crystal stones through late Apocalypse development are used as materials for various potions. They are indispensable for humanity's survival within zones. To put it simply, both of these items can be said to be talismans for surviving the apocalyptic world. Ichijo knows that once he steps away from the safe location, the mission begins. Ichijo is hoping to get a month's worth of resources ahead of time. Ichijo then goes past the starting point and reveals that there is no going back again. Ichijo is aware that the mission requires 3 things, and the most important element among them is time. Ichijo carried over some of the power from his previous life, but he still considers his body to be pretty weak. Ichijo admits that even though he has been thrown into a beginner-level zone, he still needs to be careful because taking down 16 zombies, including a mutant zombie, is no easy task. Ichijo is thinking of getting the location of the safety house when a zombie appears beside him. Ichijo almost gets caught in the zombie's attack as it breaks out from the glass beside him. Ichijo realizes how close he was to becoming zombie food because just one more step ahead and the zombie would have caught him. Even though the zombie is a beginner-level zombie, it is still far stronger than humans, and once a person is bitten, they have to escape to the safety house for treatment, or else they will become a zombie. The zombie charges at Ichijo, and he admits that the enemy is formidable since they never lose track of their target once they are locked on. In addition, their movements cannot be stopped by regular movements. However, the zombies have just one weakness, and this is their head. Thanks to Ichijo's experience, he is able to evade the zombie's attacks and then relieves it of his head. With this, he has defeated one zombie and he has 56 minutes left to finish the mission. Ichijo continues moving forward with the belief that safety houses are always in the opposite direction of the starting point. Ichijo also knows that he needs to be careful since he is the only one in the zone and there is no one to help him. He wants to conserve his energy and avoid facing multiple zombies at once so he can save his strength for the final mutant zombie. Ichijo has not finished coming to this conclusion when he spots a mutant zombie staring at him from below the stairs. The mutant zombie looking at Ichijo is Gashin, and it is a level 10 zombie with enhanced arms and superior power. Ichijo questions everything he knows because he cannot believe that a mutant zombie is appearing so early in the game. Before he knows what is happening, the zombie reaches him. The zombie punches him, but he manages to block the hit, but it still sends him flying backward. This scares Ichijo because he knows how dangerous Gashin is. Once a person is caught, there is no escape as the zombie usually crushes its victim to death. In his previous life, Ichijo recalls that many people were killed by Gashin. Ichijo admits that there is almost no chance of defeating Gashin in a head-on fight. The zombie almost catches him, but he manages to make a quick evasion and he rolls away. He realizes that the location is also a bad spot to engage Gashin. Because of this, he runs down the stairs to try and find a suitable place where he can take on Gashin. Thanks to what he knows from his past life, Ichijo wants to use the knowledge to his advantage and lure Gashin to where he would have the advantage. Just then, Ichijo runs into normal zombies. He's being chased by Gashin while he has normal zombies in front of him too. Ichijo realizes that he is surrounded, but refuses to die in such a place. Ichijo is prepared to survive no matter what it takes. He is not ready to lose to the betrayal from his past life and everything he suffered. Ichijo is determined to get his revenge, and as he takes down the normal zombies, Gashin comes charging in from behind. However, Ichijo manages to evade, and he gets behind Gashin. He then launches an attack from behind, aiming to finish Gashin off once and for all. Before Ichijo can reach Gashin, he is able to react to the attack, and Ichijo only manages to leave a cut on the zombie's arm rather than the head he was aiming for. Ichijo is not glad that he just missed his chance to defeat Gashin because, in his current state, attacking Gashin's arms will not do him much good. Ichijo finally comes to the realization that he is in a deeper mess than he thought. Just then, he notices that the safety house is on the first floor. Ichijo plans to get closer to the safety house just in case things go wrong. Gashin comes charging at him, but at the last moment, Ichijo dodges, and the big guy falls off. Ichijo is about to heave a sigh of relief when he realizes that the big guy is holding onto the side of the pavement. Gashin starts climbing back up, and Ichijo makes a run for it because of how persistent the big guy is. Walking down the stairs, Ichijo runs into another group of zombies. Since he is trapped, he has no choice but to fight the zombies. He grabs one of the zombies and throws it at its comrades. Once they are back to the wall, Ichijo kicks them really hard to make them stay in one place. With a powerful swing from his axe, he takes down their heads in one go. Just before he can get the chance to breathe, Gashin throws something at him. Fortunately, he is able to dodge the incoming attack. He then makes a quick evasive turn to confuse Gashin. Ichijo hides behind a bus to attend to his injuries, while Gashin is desperately searching for him. As he wraps bandages on his hands, he comes to the bitter realization that having an axe and just bandages cannot help him complete his mission. In addition to this, Ichijo cannot afford to make any mistakes, as this is the starting point of his revenge and the most important step. Ichijo then decides to head to the safety house so he can get away from the dangerous Gashin. Before he can make his move, he realizes that he has been spotted. Gashin picks up a bus and throws it at where Ichijo is hiding. Ichijo realizes how messed up his situation is. However, he manages to dodge the bus's impact at the last minute. He then leaps out from where he is hiding to launch a surprise attack on Gashin. Ichijo has one thing in mind, and this is Gashin's already injured arm. He manages to land the hit and he cuts off Gashin's right arm completely. With the situation of things, Ichijo knows that he has no choice but to chip away Gashin's combat ability bit by bit if he is ever going to get a chance to clear the mission. Once he has taken Gashin's right arm out of commission, he leaps away from him. Ichijo might have succeeded with his plan, but he knows the durability of the axe he is holding has drastically reduced. To make things worse, zombies usually enter a rampage state whenever they are on the brink of death. Because of this, their aggressiveness doubles. Now that Gashin has lost one of his arms, he is charging at Ichijo like a crazy fellow. He aims to finish Ichijo off, but at the same time, Ichijo is thinking of how he can cut off Gashin's other arm so that he can level the playing field. Gashin swings a punch at Ichijo, which he blocks with the axe, leaving a cut on Gashin's left hand. However, before he realizes what is happening, Gashin kicks him in the chest with his fat leg. Ichijo immediately loses balance, and before he can even react to what is happening, Gashin steps on his right arm, crushing it. Ichijo screams in pain as he wonders if the hit he got on Gashin didn't make a difference. Ichijo is now at the mercy of Gashin as he can no longer move his body. Ichijo is now worried about not getting bitten because once he does, he will become a zombie. Ichijo realizes that if this happens, it would not make things different from what happened in his previous life. Ichijo is thrown into a state of confusion. He cannot understand what it is that he did wrong. He so desperately wants to live, but things don't seem to go his way. Just then, he hears the usual voice again. This time the words from the voice are clearer, and he can hear the voice telling him to get his revenge. Suddenly, Ichijo realizes that his wounds are healing. He gets the energy to dash away from Gashin. Ichijo suddenly wonders what is happening. He was infected by the zombie virus, but he is not turning into a zombie, and it is even the opposite. His wounds are getting healed, and he wonders if everything happening is related to the mysterious voice in his head. He figures out that the voice is coming from inside his head, and it seems he also recognizes the voice. Gashin is not done with Ichijo yet as he dashes toward him in rage. However, Ichijo dodges Gashin's attack and then realizes that the voice he has been hearing in his head is that of the level 10 zombie he encountered in his previous life, the zombie called Tail. Tail was the zombie that defeated Ichijo in his last moments. It then dawns on him that he was supposed to turn into a zombie after being defeated by Tail. But somehow, he found himself in the past. This is when he realizes that Tail is also with him in this world, which is why he can hear her voice. Apparently, he is merged with Tail, as this is the only possibility he can come up with. Tail must have merged with him before the zone disappeared and then came back to this past with him, which also explains why he could see the zones before the catastrophe happened. Ichijo is immune to the zombie virus, and he also possesses zombie healing abilities, all thanks to Tail. Putting together all of these, Ichijo doesn't think he can still be considered a human. While thinking about all of this, Ichijo is still battling it out with the rampaged Gashin. Ichijo considers everything that has happened an irony because he is now surviving all thanks to zombie power. These are creatures that he considered to be his nemesis, but their power is now what is keeping him alive. However, Ichijo doesn't care even if he gives up his body as long as he gets the chance to get his revenge. Coming to this conclusion, Ichijo finally raises his axe, and he delivers a powerful swing that cuts Gashin in half. Now that he can use zombie power, he believes that his revenge mission will progress much faster. Ichijo cannot wait to get his hands on Nozomi and his friends, who backstabbed him. After defeating loads of zombies on his way, Ichijo finally reaches the safety house. He enters the safety house where the spoils of war are waiting for him. He opens the box in front of him and finds a beginner's magic ore in it. Since the reward for the mission is 5 times higher, he finds more magic ores in the box. The zones might have appeared earlier than he expected, but he knows that the items he gets inside can be used the same way as in his previous life. Since he has a level 1 inventory, he thinks of upgrading it using magic ores, which will make it a level 3 inventory. He then opens his inventory, and he uses the magic ores to expand his inventory. After he is done with this, he exits the zone. He is glad that magic ores can be used. With this, he knows that the next few months will be quite important. He also figures out that he is not getting just 5 times the rewards, but his stats are also increasing exponentially. However, Ichijo needs a way to confirm that the crystal stone with him is effective. Since crystal stones contain zombie virus, they can be processed to make various potions. Ichijo doesn't know much about this because if the process is handled in the wrong way, it can turn humans into zombies. Standing in the alley, he sees a drunk man disturbing a lady. He wants to have a good time with the lady, but he refuses him. Just then, a crazy idea comes to Ichijo's head, and he plans to carry it out. He walks past the drunk man and shrugs him off with his body. The intoxicated fellow turns his attention to Ichijo, telling him to watch where he is going. But little does he know that he has bigger problems than that. This little act of Ichijo also gives the girl the chance to run away. The drunk man is not happy with the way things turned out, and he decides to have another drink to console himself. He then realizes that the alcohol tastes somewhat strange. The next day, police attention is called to the alley because something strange has happened. The police closed off the scene from the public, leaving people to guess what might be wrong. Some just speculate that someone died in the alley, and the corpse appears to be strange. Two forensic scientists, a man and a woman, soon arrive on the scene to check on the body. The lead scientist demands to see the body, and a police officer leads him to the alley where the body is. This is the first time they will see something as strange as this. Staring at the corpse, they see a bloated fellow with boils all over him. The lady scientist sees the body, and with her reaction, it seems she might know what is going on or have a faint idea. After getting a good look at the body, the lead scientists tell the police to regard the case as wine poisoning. However, the female scientist, Etsuoka, decides to take a better look. She touches the body to get a feel of what is wrong. She touches blood on the victim's body and then proceeds to talk to her boss. She believes that they should look more into the case. She wants them to collect blood samples and run tests on them, but her boss arrogantly tells her that their work is done. Etsuoka tries telling her boss that what she saw is not ordinary blood, but the man subtly reminds her that she is still in training. The lead scientist urges Etsuoka to follow his instructions if she wants a good evaluation for her graduation practicum. The lead scientist then makes his way out of there while Etsuoka still tries to call his attention to everything wrong with the body. Etsuoka walks past Ichijo while telling her boss this. Ichijo hears this, and in a revelation, it turns out that Ichijo was the one responsible for what happened. He wanted to confirm whether humans can become zombies from the zombie virus before the catastrophe. With the results he has gotten, he believes that zombification doesn't occur before the apocalyptic world arrives. In addition to this, Ichijo wants to get Etsuoka on his side before all hell breaks loose. In Ichijo's previous life, Etsuoka was an excellent pharmacist. She created potions using crystal stones from within the zones. She succeeded in minimizing the side effects of the zombie virus to the maximum extent. Even those who are considered the strongest needed her potions to survive. And this was all made possible because of her curiosity. However, Etsuoka's curiosity became her downfall when she used herself as a test subject, leading to her death. Ichijo knows that he can increase his combat ability both in reality and in zones if he can get Etsuoka to make potions for him. Ichijo is determined to make Etsuoka his comrade in this life. After Etsuoka realizes that her boss is not ready to hear what she has to say, she decides to conduct an investigation all by herself. Just then, Ichijo approaches her, and when she asks him who he is, he lets her know that he is the person of interest that she is looking for. Ichijo suggests that they talk somewhere private. Meanwhile, Hatano got a call from Mineta about cleaning up a space. Mineta follows Hatano to help him, even though they have no idea what Ichijo is all about. Moments later, Ichijo and Etsuoka arrive at the building. Ichijo asks Hatano about the progress of what he asked him to do. Hatano then replies that he has made arrangements. Apparently, Ichijo sent Hatano to help him clean up a used laboratory. Even Hatano didn't know a laboratory existed in the place, and when he asks Ichijo how he found out, Ichijo simply answers that he did through word of mouth. Etsuoka enters the room, and to her amazement, she is staring at a laboratory. Hatano lets her know that the cleaning is done, but he doesn't know if the machines are still working. Excitedly, Etsuoka rushes in to check out the machines. Ichijo was able to locate this place because it was Etsuoka's laboratory in a previous life. Ichijo then tells Hatano to give him and Etsuoka some privacy because he has things he needs to discuss with her. Hatano is shocked to hear this, but it raises his curiosity about Etsuoka even more. The fact that Ichijo goes as far as to prepare a laboratory for Etsuoka baffles Hatano. While checking out the machines, Ichijo tells Etsuoka that they need to discuss more important stuff. Ichijo then brings out the crystal core and he shows it to Etsuoka, telling her that the guy in the alley died because of the crystal core. Etsuoka rushes over to collect it, but Ichijo refuses. Etsuoka tells Ichijo to stop touching something of such importance with his bare hands, as she would have to investigate the structure of the crystal core. Just then, it dawns on Etsuoka that Ichijo has ulterior motives, which is why he brought her to the lab and even showed her the crystal core. Ichijo is impressed with the fact that Etsuoka is smart. He then hands her the crystal core, telling her to analyze it. She wonders why Ichijo picked her for the job when it is pretty obvious that her boss will do a better job. Apparently, Etsuoka is still a trainee. She went abroad when she was in middle school, and she majored in forensic medicine. After this, she won a number of awards while enrolled. She's known as a forensic genius, but now she has secretly returned to Japan to work as a forensic trainee. Etsuoka then asks Ichijo what she is supposed to do. Ichijo first tells her that everything she is going to do from that moment forward is top secret. He then asks her if she is willing to cooperate and become his comrade before he reveals further information. Ichijo assures her that if she becomes his comrade, she is free to use the laboratory as she likes. In addition to this, Ichijo is willing to bring as many crystal stones as Etsuoka wants for her research. He is also going to be the one to pay for all the research that will be carried out by Etsuoka. He lets her know that she is going to see a completely different world from the one she has seen before. However, refusing to become a comrade means their interaction with each other has ended, Ichijo lets her know. Before giving her answer, Etsuoka sits down to check out the crystal stone under the microscope. Ichijo asks if he can take this as a yes, but Etsuoka lets him know that she wants the crystal stone. Ichijo assures her that the crystal stone is hers, and with this, Etsuoka tells Ichijo to continue with his story. Ichijo then explains that the crystal stone contains a virus that causes living beings to die and accelerates decay. However, unlike ordinary death, the body moves without consciousness, but it is no longer human. Ichijo lets Etsuoka know that the corpse she saw didn't move for a reason, but Ichijo knows Etsuoka would have noticed the robustness of the body despite being dead. Ichijo lets her know that the corpse would have gained immense strength given that it started moving. Ichijo then drops the bombshell, telling Etsuoka that corpses like those are called the living dead, or, to put it simply, zombies. Apparently, the crystal stones that can turn humans into zombies contain two types of components. One is the zombification component, and the other is the body function enhancement component. Ichijo wants Etsuoka to separate these two components and create a potion that enhances human body functions. Ichijo adds that Etsuoka needs to get the purity of the potion to almost 100%. This is because the rarity of the potion is determined by its purity. Etsuoka hears all of this and becomes more curious. She asks if the corpse from earlier can start moving, and Ichijo replies that it will eventually. Ichijo knows that Etsuoka has loads of questions to ask, but urges her to focus on the crystal stone research at the moment. He assures Etsuoka that he is going to tell her everything that she needs to know very soon. Ichijo has even rented a residential apartment on the floor below so that Etsuoka can live there. After telling her what she needs to know, Ichijo lets Etsuoka know that he is leaving. Before stepping out, Etsuoka asks him what his name is, and he tells her. Ichijo then tells Mineta to stay in the lab and assist Etsuoka with anything she needs. Hatano and Ichijo then step into the elevator to leave the building. Ichijo asks Hatano about Hiraguri, and Hatano assures Ichijo that everyone is following his orders. Now that Ichijo has confirmed that the zones are real, he has nothing to worry about when it comes to potions because he has Etsuoka working on that. What he currently needs is money and lots of it. Ichijo tells Hatano to prepare himself because they are on their way to see Ogani. Talking about Ogani-ren, he is someone who had unalived people when he was as young as 20 years old. He is someone who would do anything just to make sure he rises to the top. With his ruthless methods, he obtained his current position. He handles the entertainment business, and his main operations are casinos and nightclubs. Casinos are his main source of income because it is always bustling with customers. Due to the high number of customers coming to the casino, a large amount of money is always coming in. Everyone visiting the casino believes that they can become wealthy, but only a few have been able to actually achieve a victory in the casino. Those who believe that they can still win even after failing keep returning to the casino. The casino lends money to those who don't have money just so that they can gamble it all off and then drag them into a worse situation than what they were before. Ogani has a method of attaching exorbitant interest rates to the money he lent to people. Once they are unable to pay, he gets the chance to treat them whatever way he wants. He keeps some in his office and hits them with golf balls just to punish them. Some will even argue that they can't pay back the high interest on the money, but Ogani always refers them to the agreement they made when borrowing the money. Ogani even resorts to using their families against them. Ogani then cuts off his victims' fingers and sends them to their families. He usually increases the fee while demanding that the family exchange someone for a hostage. Ogane's methods might be cruel, but this is how he secures funding for the organization. And talking about these funds, it usually amounts to tens of billions. After Ogane is done dealing with one of his debtors, he learns that Hatano and his group want to see him. He tells his assistant to let them in, but even before he can deliver the message, Hatano and his guys barge into the room. The assistant tries to stop them, but Ogani tells him to let them come in. Hatano sees the bloodied guy being dragged out of the room, and he comments on Ogani's ruthlessness. Ogani admits that he is ruthless, saying that Hatano is also like him. Apparently, Ogani has heard about Hatano's absorption of Hiraguri's territory. Ogani then asks Hatano why he has come to see him. Hatano reveals that since their boss's birthday is coming up, he thinks that they should do something. Ogani reminds Hatano that he doesn't make deals that are not favorable to him. Ogani lets Hatano know that he is open to helping him stand out in front of the boss, but Ogane will want his territories in return. Hatano is shocked to hear that Ogane wants the territories he fought so hard to have. Unknown to Hatano, Ogani has had his eyes on his territories for a long time now. Ogani never thought Hatano would walk right into his trap, and to top it all off, he came with just 3 people. Before coming to see Ogane, Hatano had already warned Ichijo about the risks of going to the casino. He lets Ichijo know that there are over 100 guys working in the casino as security. Ichijo lets Hatano know that his aim is to reduce casualties, and he also wants to make a strong point in front of Ogane. Ichijo told Hatano to order him around in front of Ogane since they are trying to play Hatano as the boss. Now that they are already in front of Ogane, Hatano makes his move. He charges at Ogane and tries to punch his body with a pencil, but Ogane's personal guard blocks him off. Ichijo also swings into action, and with just one kick, he sends the guard behind him flying. The other security guard tries running at Ichijo, but Hiraguri blocks his path. Hiraguri has always hated those who are working for Ogane, and this is the best moment to take out his anger on them. In the ensuing chaos, Ichijo tells Hatano to be careful. He urges him not to let his guard down because he wants to handle Ogane's personal security guard. Hatano tells Ichijo to be careful because the security guy he is about to go against is the strongest one among all of Ogane's men. Ogane has never had to worry about security issues because he has the guy by his side. The security guy arms himself with a golf club and comes at Ichijo. Ichijo dodges the attack and manages to grab a golf club of his own to try and defend himself. In the conflict, the security guy swings his club so closely to Ichijo's face that it removes the face mask that he is wearing. Hatano is worried when he sees this, and he asks Ichijo if he is fine. Ichijo replies that he is good. He takes a better look at the security to assess his strength. Ogane tells his security guy to keep the commotion to a minimal level so as not to scare off the customers. The security guy acknowledges this, and Ogane orders him to wipe out Hatano and his guys. The security guard swings his golf club at Ichijo, but he dodges and counters with a left kick to the side. The guard blocks this, but before he can react, Ichijo's right kick comes, landing on his neck. This throws him off balance, and Ichijo continues with a kick to the chest. The security guy is thrown into the distance, knocking him out. Ogane is shocked when he sees this. He makes a call asking for reinforcements. A bunch of guys show up immediately. But Ogane is disappointed. He wanted more, and the goons told him that most of their comrades are stuck in traffic. Ogane asks Ichijo if he is behind this, and he says yes. However, Ogane is still confident that the men who came are more than enough to deal with Ichijo. Ogane promises to give the goons 200,000 each if they can get Ichijo. This excites them, and they come charging at Ichijo, but minutes later, Ogane is dragged to the casino hall by Ichijo. The customers are shocked to see the owner of the casino beaten up. Hatano cannot believe that Ichijo single-handedly wiped out Ogane's men. Hatano then calms the customers. He explains that the casino is just going through a bit of a problem. Hatano lets the customers know that he is now the owner. And as a commemoration, he will be giving out 10,000 chips as a present. The customers hear this and start to rejoice, totally ignoring Ogane, who has been nothing but trash to them. Suddenly, Ijuin, Nozomi, and his friends appear in the room. Hatano is shocked to see them. Hatano expresses his shock, and Nozomi reveals that he was in the VIP room when he heard the commotion, which is why he came to investigate. Nozomi is not pleased with the situation since he considers Ogane a friend. Hatano is still trying to tell Nozomi that from that moment forward, he will be in charge when he suddenly sees Ichijo walking towards Nozomi. He tries to stop him, but he quickly backs off when he senses a very terrifying aura from Ichijo. Ichijo walks up to Nozomi, and the dude asks him if he needs anything from him. Ichijo is surprised to find out that Nozomi and his clique have always been together. There are 4 other guys in the clique: Minagawa Tatsuhiro, Ishizaki Lala, Rick, and Ilman. These 5, including Nozomi, are heirs to the companies that control the financial industry. Even during the Apocalypse, they were on top after taking out all of their competitors. It dawns on Ichijo that the 5 had it in mind to betray him from the start. They have always been friends, not just acquaintances. Ogane grabs Nozomi's leg, begging him for help, and promising to pay whatever it is that he wants. Just as Nozomi is about to stretch his hand to Ogane, Ichijo smashes Ogane with the golf club, spilling blood on Nozomi's face. Nozomi's guard wants to intervene, which is what Ichijo wants, but Nozomi manages to control his security guard. Nozomi then moves closer to Ichijo, telling him that he would unalive him if they were not surrounded by people. Nozomi tells Ichijo that he is lucky only if he knows that he is the lucky one. Nozomi decides to back off, and Ichijo tells him that they will be meeting face-to-face again. Nozomi is pissed off at this, and he tells his guys to dig into Ichijo. Once the commotion has died down, Hatano urges the customers to continue enjoying themselves, assuring them that the chips will be distributed soon. Meanwhile, Ichijo is angry at himself because he almost couldn't control himself, and he would have terminated Nozomi. Ichijo has no plan of letting Nozomi die so easily. He wants to make his life a living hell before he unalives him. Hatano then tells Ichijo that it is unwise to make an enemy of Nozomi. Ichijo lets him know that he is aware of this. Ichijo then asks Hatano about the day's earnings. Hatano promises to check it later, but asks Ichijo what he wants it for. Ichijo then tells Hatano to use everything to buy gold and make sure it is a physical transaction. Hatano is shocked to hear this, and he is forced to ask Ichijo why he needs to buy gold. Ichijo simply replies that it is none of his business. He tells him that even if it is expensive, he should buy it and deliver it to the laboratory. Ichijo then lets Hatano know that he is heading home because he has business he needs to attend to. Ichijo narrates that inventory can be expanded up to level 10 with only beginner magic cores. But from level 10 onwards, another material is needed, which is gold. The gold needed to reach level 11 is 3 kilograms, and from there, the required amount increases exponentially. Because of this, in the apocalyptic world, massive amounts of gold are consumed and quickly depleted. Since he will need to stock lots of supplies, Ichijo figures out that inventory expansion should be his priority. He decides that he is going to leave the procurement of gold to Hatano while he focuses on finding special zones. Since gold is a finite resource, he believes that once his holdings increase, Nozomi's holdings will definitely decrease. Suddenly, Ichijo gets a weird feeling in the air. He looks around and he spots a special zone opening in the distance. He takes a closer look and figures out that the location of the special zone is the school. At school the next day, Fatty notices that Ichijo has not returned to the school since he was taken away by Mineta and his guys. He wonders if Ichijo is fine, and just then, he sees one of the class big boys sitting in Ichijo's seat. Fatty questions him, and the dude replies that Ichijo is not coming back to school, so there is no need to keep his seat for him. The dude is still talking trash when suddenly Ichijo appears in the class and throws the dude's books out of the window. Ichijo tells the dude to leave his seat before he beats him up. The dude wants to protect his ego by talking back at Ichijo, but his friend cautions him, reminding him that Ichijo beat Mineta up. Everyone in the class is surprised to see that Ichijo returned to the school unarmed after being taken away by Mineta. Fatty, who is Ichijo's seatmate, expresses his shock that Ichijo came back to school. Ichijo then asks him if he is happy with this or just straight up disappointed. Fatty then reveals that he is happy because Ichijo beat Mineta up for him. The night before, Ichijo recalls that the zone hadn't appeared yet when he came to the school. He assumes that the generation isn't complete yet, which is why the zone didn't appear. Ichijo wonders if he can now sense zone occurrences, and he was able to figure out that the zone will appear the next day. Ichijo is still in his seat, thinking about how to handle the zone when he is approached by Amane Miki. She asks Ichijo if he is fine because the whole class was worried. Ichijo doesn't care about her sympathy because in his past life, Amane was manipulating the boys into doing whatever she wanted. Because of her beauty, she turns the boys into her personal slaves. Amane then tries to manipulate Ichijo as usual. She tells him to buy breakfast for her so that they can eat together. In her mind, she didn't care because she was already looking for another errand boy, believing that Ichijo wouldn't come back to school. She is shocked when Ichijo tells her to go buy what she wants by herself because she is an eyesore. Amane cannot believe that Ichijo just called her an eyesore. The dude from earlier hears this and starts acting all tough, asking Ichijo why he would say such a thing to Amane. Other boys also join in, telling Ichijo that he is completely wrong for treating Amane in such a manner. Amane silently tells the boys not to touch Ichijo because they are all friends. However, the boys insist that they need to teach Ichijo a lesson. In Amane's mind, this is what she wants actually. Ichijo cannot believe that this was the bunch of guys bullying him in his past life. He considers himself a total loser for bowing to weak boys like this. The boys are still saying trash when the dude leading the charge gets his head slapped onto the table. Everyone turns around and is shocked when they see that Mineta is the one who intervened. Amane then holds Mineta, trying to manipulate him into helping her. Surprisingly, Mineta slaps her hand away, telling her that Big Brother already warned that he wants to be left alone. Hearing Mineta call Ichijo Big Brother brings out another shocking moment in the students. Mineta then orders Amane to get lost, to which she quickly does. Mineta also tells Fatty to go and buy breakfast. Once he is alone with Ichijo, Mineta asks him why he turned off his phone because Etsuoka has been trying to reach him. Ichijo replies that he forgot to charge the phone. He then asks Mineta why Etsuoka was calling. Mineta moves closer to Ichijo, telling him that Etsuoka has made a discovery and she wants to talk about it. Ichijo wonders if there's been a development in the potion research. Not long after this, the teacher enters to start the class for the day. Ichijo is thinking about how his life is going to be stressful going forward when he is suddenly thrown into a level 5 special zone. Ichijo is given a special mission to enter the safety house within 20 minutes, and as usual, he is going to get 5 times the reward. Ichijo recalls that it took him time in his past life to get used to being thrown into the special zone out of the blue. He then decides to look for useful items before proceeding with the mission. All he is able to find is a ruler and a set square. After arming himself with these, he decides that it is time to start the mission since time is against him. The first thing on his plan is to know where the safety house is. He is glad that his mapping ability is great, which is going to give him an advantage. Just then, he notices that the safety house is located in the school playground, but there are a bunch of zombies guarding the safety house. He knows that forcing his way through is out of the question, and in addition to this, he doesn't think he has what it takes to defeat all of the zombies in 20 minutes. He is still staring at the school playground when a zombie suddenly appears behind him. The zombie dashes toward him, and Ichijo manages to dodge at the last minute. The zombie crashes out of the window and falls to the schoolyard. Immediately, this happens. The zombies guarding the gate rush toward the fallen zombie. Ichijo then figures out that the zombies are probably attracted to sound. Ichijo realizes that he can lure the zombies away from the safety house with noise. He is relieved that with this, he can complete the mission within 20 minutes. There is only one place in the school that can make a loud enough noise to get the attention of the zombies, and Ichijo decides to head there at once. Ichijo figures out that the broadcast room is the best place for him to go. Since he clearly remembers the school layout, he thinks it should be easy to get there. He is currently in the central building, and the broadcast room is on the top floor of Building 4. Ichijo plans to cut through the central building and enter the connecting corridor that leads to Building 4. Once he gets to Building 4, he plans to go to the opposite side of the school building and climb the stairs to the broadcast room. Just then, he notices that the zombies are moving back to their positions. He wonders if they are truly guards for the safety house or if it is just a coincidence. He spots a lone zombie walking toward him, and he decides to test out his theory with the zombie. Ichijo overpowers the zombie and throws it to the schoolyard. Just as expected, the zombies rush over to where the zombie fell. Ichijo is able to confirm that once they hear an abnormal sound, they all rush in the said direction. The fastest among the zombies are the elite zombies. The elite zombies are the ones who had excellent physical abilities when they were still humans, and they retain those abilities. They might not be as strong as mutant-type zombies, but they are still far stronger than normal zombies. It dawns on him that when he was thrown into the zone, the sports department was having a PE class in the playground, which is why so many of the playground zombies are elite zombies. Just as he predicted, the zombies start moving back to the safety house after they are done investigating where the sound came from. With what he has seen, Ichijo figures out that he has just one chance to get things right. He cannot afford to make mistakes. He figures out that his movement to the broadcast room will determine how everything will end for him. Just then, he spots a zombie in his direction, and Ichijo quickly moves into a secure spot to take out the unsuspecting zombie. He appears behind the zombie and uses the set square to decapitate it. With this, Ichijo has 17 minutes left. He figures out that time is running out fast. He barely has time to spare because it takes at least 5 minutes from the broadcast room to the playground. And this is if he doesn't run into any interference. Ichijo arms himself with a shovel and figures out that speed and strategy will be his key to victory in this current zone. Not long after this, he arrives at the connecting corridor. He spots 3 normal zombies, and since there is no place for him to hide in the connecting corridor and taking another route will cost him precious time, he figures out that cutting through the zombies is the only way out. He also needs to eliminate the zombies in the quietest way possible so as not to alert the zombies in the school building. He immediately dashes towards the zombies and cuts through them in an instant. Now that he has taken out the zombies in the connecting corridor, he figures out that Building 4 is the most difficult to navigate through. He arrives at Building 4, and Ichijo admits that Building 4's structure is the most complex of all the buildings. The stairs leading to the broadcast room are at the end of the hallway. He finds himself in a long corridor but doesn't see a single zombie in the area. However, he is not ready to put his guard down because there are plenty of places for the zombies to hide. Since he has no time to think of a plan, Ichijo decides that he will have to adapt to whatever comes his way. Unknown to him, there is a zombie behind him. Just then, Ichijo spots the zombie's shadow. This is what saved him from getting one-shotted by the zombie behind him. He manages to jump out of the way of the zombie's punch, shattering the ground. Fear grips Ichijo as he realizes that he is standing in front of an elite zombie that was hiding behind the door. To make things worse, the noise from the conflict attracts the nearby zombies. Ichijo admits that he has just found himself in a very difficult position. Ichijo stands back up and grabs his shovel before the zombies come charging at him. He tries running through the zombies, but one of them manages to graze him. Before he can get a moment to breathe, another one comes at him. He almost bites Ichijo, but he blocks the zombie's mouth with the shovel. While he is struggling with the annoying zombie in front of him, the elite zombie is ready to punch his head off from behind. Just as the punch is about to land, Ichijo makes a last-minute dodge. He jumps backwards, and the elite zombie ends up punching his comrade's head off. By the time the elite zombie turns back, Ichijo has disappeared from the scene. However, the elite zombie has a great sense of smell, and he follows Ichijo into the classroom where he entered. Behind a desk, Ichijo leaves some of his blood to attract the zombie. The zombie arrives at the desk area and doesn't hold back as he smashes the area. Meanwhile, Etsuoka is in the lab working on the potion. She admits that separating the two elements is much harder than she thought it would. The ratio of zombie virus in the crystal stone seems to be too high. The highest purity she has been able to attain is 60% purity. In this level of potion, there is still too much virus proportion. Etsuoka has read through all the materials she knows of, but hasn't been able to find any description of the kind of virus being housed in the crystal stone. Since Ichijo is the only one who knows where the crystal stone came from, he is the only one who can answer certain questions that she has. But at this dire moment, Ichijo is not available. Etsuoka is also baffled by the fact that Ichijo has something like this with him, and the fact that he knows how to use it well. Back in the zone, Ichijo has successfully deceived the elite zombie, and while the zombie is trying to pull himself back together, Ichijo comes running from behind. He charges at the zombie at full speed. The elite zombie reacts to Ichijo's presence and swings a punch at Ichijo. However, Ichijo dodges the punch and hits the zombie in the legs with full power. This throws him off balance, but before he lands on the ground, Ichijo meets him halfway with a shovel punch to the face. The amount of force Ichijo puts in the swing is enough to remove the elite zombie's head from its neck. The zombie is defeated, and Ichijo heaves a sigh of relief. Ichijo realizes that the smell of blood lured the elite zombie. Before his wound from earlier healed up, Ichijo had managed to secure his blood in a bunch of test tubes. With this blood, Ichijo believes that he can avoid unnecessary combat. He now only has about 10 minutes left, and he needs to move faster. Ichijo continues moving forward, and suddenly Ichijo gets hit with a terrible headache, and his consciousness starts to fade. Ichijo cannot believe that something like this is happening at such a wrong time. He wonders if this is happening as a reaction to him using the healing ability. Ichijo immediately comes to the conclusion that he needs to finish the mission as soon as possible. He soon arrives at the next floor and he notices that a bunch of zombies are already waiting for him. He wonders if the earlier commotion lured out the zombies. Ichijo then pours blood on the floor, and this is enough to get the attention of the zombies. They rush toward the scent of the blood, and Ichijo maneuvers behind them. Ichijo wants to try his best to avoid combat since the broadcast room is above him. Ichijo arrives at the 4th floor but finds no traces of zombies in the area. He sneaks into the broadcast room as quietly as he can. Fortunately for him, there are no zombies in the room. Ichijo hopes the broadcast equipment is still working perfectly. Ichijo drops his shovel and then tests out the broadcast equipment. The machine comes on, and Ichijo heaves a sigh of relief that he can still use the machine. In his past life, he helped the broadcasting club several times, so he still remembers how to use it. He is in the middle of getting the broadcast machine to work when a zombie slowly opens the door. Ichijo doesn't notice the presence of the zombie, nor does he know that a zombie has opened the door. He continues with what he is doing until it is too late. He finally senses the zombie when it is already beside him. In reaction to this, Ichijo grabs his shovel, ready to defend himself. Just then, he hears something shocking. He hears the zombie saying something. Ichijo properly turns to look at the zombie, only to find a very large, scary zombie staring down at him. Apparently, the zombie is telling him not to enter the room without permission. Ichijo is now face to face with a zombie as large as the room itself. Ichijo recognizes the zombie type standing in front of him. This is the corpse bloating phenomenon, a phenomenon where putrefaction gas fills the body after death, causing soft tissues throughout the body to expand, causing the corpse to swell up. Ichijo figures out that this is the phenomenon happening to the zombie in front of him. Apparently, this type of zombie doesn't have attack power, but it is troublesome because it quickly bursts, scattering explosive sounds and zombie virus. The zombie has enough power to kill a person, and also causes a large number of zombies to be drawn in. Ichijo realizes that the situation is urgent and he needs to get the zombie out of the room. Ichijo then dashes out of the room, forcing the zombie to follow him. He manages to get to the window before the zombie reaches him. The zombie tries to get him, but crashes out of the window instead. The zombie hangs from the wall, thanks to the cord Ichijo has tied to its leg. Ichijo wants to restrain the zombie's movement, but before he can relax, he spots zombies in the distance. The zombies heard the noise and are now heading toward Ichijo. To distract the zombies, Ichijo leaves blood in the corridor. Ichijo rushes into the broadcast room and realizes that he has just 4 minutes left on the clock. He wonders if the zombies will be distracted enough till he is able to finish turning on the broadcast equipment. Ichijo knows that he is done for if any elite zombie appears. Realizing this, Ichijo figures that he has just a little time left to spend in the room. One of the zombies is now approaching the room, but Ichijo manages to turn the broadcast on. Ichijo barely made it in time for the broadcast to go live and attract the attention of the zombies. Ichijo steps out of the room with the intention of heading to the playground. Just then, he notices that the zombies are trying to bite off the cord holding the inflated zombie. This is due to the fact that he put blood on the rope and then he noticed that the zombies from the third floor were also coming up. Realizing that the broadcast still has their attention, Ichijo makes a run for it. He wants to run into the safety house at full speed while also avoiding zombies. Ichigo's plan is working out until he realizes that a horde of zombies from Building 1 are also coming in his direction. Since a frontal assault is basically impossible because he will run out of time, he decides that the best option is to wait. Not long after this, the cord holding the inflated zombie cuts, causing it to crash to the ground. Ichigo then uses the loud sound from this to his advantage. He cuts the distance he needs to travel by jumping through the window. From the connecting corridor, he jumps to the gymnasium. He lands safely and dashes toward the playground with the belief that all of the zombies are being drawn to the bursting sound that came from the inflated zombie. He assumes that the sound should temporarily cause the playground to be empty. He arrives at the playground, and just as he predicted, there is no zombie in sight. He believes that he is going to make it in time, but to his greatest surprise, the zombies manage to destroy the speakers faster than he anticipated. The zombies have gotten to the top of the school building with what Ichijo is seeing. The zombies guarding the safety house will soon return. This turns out to be a chase of survival as Ichijo runs toward the safety house while a horde of zombies follows him. The elite zombies are so fast that one of them catches up to Ichijo. Before Ichijo can react, he gets hit by the zombie, causing him to lose balance and fall to the ground. Ichijo is now trapped, and the zombies are all over him. Instead of giving up, Ichijo makes a desperate move and swings his shovel at the zombies. This is enough to push the zombies back a bit. Ichijo also gets back on his feet and he jumps backward. Ichijo uses every skill he knows to try and get the zombies off his back. He swings the shovel aggressively, throws his leg around just to make way, but in the end, the zombies surround him and block off every access to the safety house. Ichijo stretches his hand toward the gate, realizing how close he was. Just as he stretches forth his hand, Tail's hand also appears. Lightning strikes from above, while Etsuoka is still wondering where Ichijo went when she needed him the most. She is staring at a potion in front of him, thinking about what Ichijo told her. Since Ichijo told her that the components of the crystal stone turn someone into a zombie, she wants to know what will happen if she ingests it voluntarily. Just as she is about to drink the potion, a female zombie appears right beside her. Staring at the zombie, it seems Etsuoka recognizes her. Back in the zone, Ichijo is almost overrun by the zombies when Tail shows up. She easily takes down all of the zombies, leaving Ichijo to question why she is helping him. He wants to know what she is after, but Tail tells him not to come near her. Ichijo realizes that he can't move, and he looks around to notice that Tail is holding him down with her powers. There is a vine holding down his leg, giving Tail the chance to do what she wants. Ichijo asks Tail what she plans to do to him, and Tail opens her mouth, ready to pounce on Ichijo. Everything goes dark, and when Ichijo regains himself, he is standing on top of Etsuoka, ready to hurt her. When he notices that he is holding Etsuoka's neck, he quickly backs off while wondering where he is. Just then, Etsuoka notices that the vial with the potion is about to fall off. She pushes Ichijo out of the way and manages to grab the vial before it hits the ground. Etsuoka hugs the vial excitedly, talking about how she is glad that the vial is safe. Ichijo then walks toward Etsuoka, apologizing for what happened. He then begs Etsuoka to tell him what happened the night before. Etsuoka narrates that Ichijo suddenly appeared in the lab. Initially, she didn't know that it was him because he appeared in the form of a woman. She reveals that the female figure suddenly collapsed, and when she rushed over to check, this is when she realized that it was Ichijo. Apparently, Ichijo's body was covered in wounds and he was weakened. She then attended to Ichijo by treating his wounds. After hearing everything, Ichijo is surprised to learn that he looks like a woman. Etsuoka claims she is not sure because it was raining heavily and she was tired. She was researching the entire day, and due to the stress, Etsuoka believes that she might have been seeing the wrong thing. However, Ichijo knows that Etsuoka didn't see wrongly. He wonders why Tail took over his body and brought him to the lab. Etsuoka then hands Ichijo his test results. Apparently, there was the zombie virus in his body, but instead of rejecting it, his body seemed to depend on it. Etsuoka then extracted the zombie virus from Ichijo's body and tried to combine it with the zombie virus contained in the crystal stone. Something amazing happened because the zombie virus in Ichijo's body perfectly fused with the one from the crystal stone. Because of this, Etsuoka decided to inject the zombie virus from the crystal into Ichijo's body. Once she did this, Ichijo's wounds gradually healed, but in exchange, the zombie virus in his body was consumed. Upon hearing this, Ichijo realizes that his recovery ability is related to the zombie virus in his body. He remembers that when he was in the zone, every time he healed himself, he became dazed and eventually lost consciousness, which then gave Tail the chance to take control of his body. Etsuoka then tells Ichijo that it is time he answers the questions she has. She asks him if he is a zombie or a human. Also, she wants to know why he has crystal stones that shouldn't exist in the first place. Ichijo then replies by asking Etsuoka if she believes in time leaps. Etsuoka assumes that Ichijo is messing with her, but he lets her know that he is being serious. Ichijo reveals that he time leaped from a world 5 years in the future. Ichijo continues to explain, and he tells her that the world 5 years from that moment had reached the apocalypse, with zombies attacking people all over the world. Ichijo also lets her know that it is 1 month before the apocalypse arrives. Etsuoka asks Ichijo if things like the bodies she saw the day before will appear all over, and Ichijo says yes. In addition to this, special zones will appear all over the world. He explains that these special zones are full of zombies. Ichijo then decides to show her something, even though it might be hard for her to easily accept. Ichijo asks for his clothes, and Etsuoka points to where he can find them. Ichijo doesn't have plans to tell Etsuoka about the inventory just yet. With what he has seen so far, Etsuoka seems like an innocent girl, but at the same time, Ichijo is trying to avoid making the same mistakes he made in his previous life. Ichijo cannot allow Etsuoka to be his enemy because he is done for if this happens. Ichijo cannot believe that he cleared the special mission thanks to a zombie. Ichijo then shows Etsuoka the magic ores he gathered in the zone. He explains that for some reason, he can enter the zones early. Etsuoka's eyes are fixated on the magic ores as she stares at how beautiful they are. Etsuoka then shows Ichijo the potion she is working on, letting her know that the highest purity she has recorded is 60%. Ichijo notices that the potion is red in color, which shows that it is a power potion. Even though Etsuoka has not achieved the desired 99% purity, he is impressed with what she has done in just 1 day. Etsuoka then starts observing the magic ores, and she notices that they are different from the ones Ichijo gave her before. She decides to ask Ichijo what she is doing 5 years in the future, since Ichijo came to meet her. Ichijo reveals that Etsuoka is dead in the future, and he adds that they had no connection either. Etsuoka wants to know how she died, and how Ichijo knew about her. Ichijo reveals that he heard about her through rumors as a genius pharmacist. However, he lets her know that she didn't die in the hands of zombies. She died because she used herself as a test subject. This calls her attention to the fact that she was also working hard, even though the world was destroyed. Ichijo then assures her that he is not going to put her in any danger. Etsuoka reveals that she has been skeptical about Ichijo's story, but after hearing that she used herself as a test subject, she totally believes him. Etsuoka herself knows that this is something she can totally do. Etsuoka then assures Ichijo that she is going to support him with everything she has, and to start with that, she wants to finish the remaining tasks. Moments later, Hatano and Mineta enter the lab carrying a box of gold. They find Etsuoka sitting on Ichijo and immediately assume something else. They want to leave, but Ichijo stops them, telling them that it is all a misunderstanding. Ichijo then asks Hatano about the gold. Hatano reveals that he bought everything that could be purchased through normal routes, so there is basically nothing left in the market. Hatano adds that there are still more cargoes coming in aside from the one he just brought in. Ichijo then hands him the power potion, telling him to drink it. Hatano is skeptical about the potion, but Ichijo tells him to have faith in him. Hatano then gulps down the potion. Immediately his eyes turn red, and a red aura surrounds him. Hatano squeezes his teeth, and Etsuoka becomes worried. She tells Ichijo that Hatano seems to be suffering, but Ichijo replies that Hatano is fine and there is nothing to worry about. Since the purity of the potion is still 70%, it is not something humans can directly consume. However, someone like Hatano, who has the strong body of a professional athlete, can surely endure it. Ichijo knows that it is going to take time to get used to it since it is his first time, but it will get better with time. Once Hatano is calm, Ichijo asks him if he is fine. Hatano then replies that he feels much better now. He confesses that power is surging through his body. To test this out, he easily carries 2 boxes full of heavy gold. Even Mineta sees this and is blown away. Hatano then reveals that he has obtained information about the money that they obtained. The money they obtained this time belongs to Nozomi's group. To avoid causing problems that they can't handle, Ichijo tells Hatano not to collect any money in the meantime. Ichijo plans to get everything under control, and he is waiting for the big boss's birthday to seize control of everything. Ichijo is glad with the way things are going. However, he is surprised that the potion's effects appeared before the zombie virus. He wants Etsuoka to quickly raise the purity to what ordinary people can use. Ichijo plans to entrust Hatano's men to organizational work if he can get all of them to drink the power potion. Once the organizational stress is out of the way, Ichijo plans to focus on conquering special zones. In addition to this, Ichijo wants to make sure Nozomi loses all of his money before the apocalypse begins. Meanwhile, Nozomi has been informed that a group has bought all the gold in the market. To make things worse, Nozomi hears that all the transactions are conducted physically, which has caused scarcity in the market. Nozomi's friend Rick suggests that they sell their physical gold too, since there is a high demand for it. Apparently, Nozomi's group is the only group left with physical gold. However, another of Nozomi's friends, Ilman, doesn't want them to sell everything that they have been collecting for a while. She wants them to keep the gold securely until they know the identity of the other group buying up all the gold. Nozomi keeps mute and focuses on the game he is playing while his friends share their opinion on what they think is the right thing for them to do. After talking for a few minutes, Rick finally mentions that all the decision falls back to Nozomi since he is the boss. When Nozomi finally speaks up, he ignores the gold issue. He asks Rick about the progress on the acquisition of the old district. Rick reveals that negotiations are mostly done and contractors have moved in. However, they are still discussing with the remaining residents. Nozomi then asks Rick if he knows why they are gathered. Rick replies that they are together to produce results, no matter what happens. Nozomi then mentions the fact that they were all born into conglomerates and the fact that no matter how hard they work, everything gets taken by the old men sitting at the top. It is evident that they will be labeled as rich kids forever, while their parents and families block their path. Nozomi then tells Rick that he doesn't want to waste any more time. Rick assures Nozomi that he is going to take care of the old district quickly. Nozomi wants them to put the gold issue aside while they focus on the reconstruction of the old district. Nozomi is desperate to make his parents know that it is the era of young people now. Nozomi then asks Ilman if she has dug into Ichijo, and she says yes. She has gotten some information on Ichijo, but she tells Nozomi that the things she saw don't call for concern. With what she learned, Ichijo is an ordinary high school student who lost both parents in a traffic accident when he was young. Ilman tells Nozomi that Ichijo is working part-time jobs to stay afloat, and for the reason he was at the casino, she found out that Ichijo just joined Hatano's group. After hearing this, Nozomi tells Ilman to eliminate Ichijo. He knows that doing that will be tough, but he lets Ilman know that he doesn't want any traces. Ilman lets Nozomi know that she has already made arrangements for Ichijo to be taken out because she knew Nozomi would want that. Meanwhile, Ichijo is seen walking in an alley. He is thinking about the gold that Hatano has collected. With what Hatano has obtained, Ichijo believes that it is enough to get him to level 15. He knows he still needs materials like the magic ores, the crystal stones for Etsuoka's research. Just then, he notices a guy walking toward him. The guy seems to be an A-rank assassin, but somehow he has been sent to take care of a high school student. The assassin doesn't really care about this since the money for the job is nice. However, little does he know that he has made the mistake of choosing the wrong target. The assassin runs toward Ichijo, aiming to puncture his body with his knife, but just as he is about to reach Ichijo, Ichijo evades him. Ichijo's movement is so fast that he disarms the assassin before he knows what is happening. Ichijo lands behind the assassin and points the knife at his neck. Everything happened so fast that the assassin was scared to death. Ichijo demands that the assassin answer his questions quietly, and with what the assassin has just witnessed, he clearly knows that he has no chance. Ichijo asks him if he was sent by Nozomi, and the assassin quickly says yes. Once the assassin gives his answer, Ichijo slams him to the wall. He walks toward him in such a scary manner that the assassin starts to beg for forgiveness. The assassin wants to tell Ichijo that he was just following orders, but Ichijo throws the knife with so much force that it enters the wall close to the assassin. Ichijo then tells the assassin to relay a message to Nozomi. He wants the assassin to tell Nozomi that it is not time for them to fight yet. He urges Nozomi to wait just a bit longer. Ichijo then tells the assassin not to ever appear before him again. The assassin takes Ichijo's words to heart and runs off without looking back. Once he has taken care of the assassin, Ichijo prepares to enter a level 8 zone. Since he is the only one who can enter the zones, he has no choice but to take on the challenges all by himself. Ichijo considers the period before the apocalypse as the most dangerous period for him because he needs to gather resources before the apocalypse arrives. No matter how risky the zones are, Ichijo is willing to single-handedly take on it because once the apocalypse arrives, he will be going up against powerful groups. Taking risks now is the fastest way for him to close the immense gap between him and Nozomi. Ichijo also figures out that he needs underworld resources if he's going to fight Nozomi in terms of power and financial strength. Ichijo is looking forward to the big boss, Tatsuya's birthday, which is in 2 days. This is when he plans to seize control, and to do this, he needs more crystal stones so he can create potions before then. To also suppress the annoying zombie living inside of him, he is going to need a large amount of zombie virus. However, Tail seems to be on his side for the moment, but even with this, Ichijo doesn't want to relax. For the members of his organization, they are all doing their jobs, and their lives seem to be changing. Ichijo is in control of everything, and basically, he controls the fate of those working for him, which is why he needs to become stronger. Meanwhile, the assassin has returned to Nozomi to give him a report about his failed attempt to take Ichijo out. Later on, Etsuoka manages to complete a portion with sufficient purity. While she is busy working, Mineta, who is supposed to be watching him, is sleeping like a rat. He only wakes up to the good news that Etsuoka has to share. She then calls Mineta over to give him the potion. After drinking the potion, Ichijo arrives at the lab. Just as Ichijo is entering the lab, Ichijo comes at him with full speed. Ichijo manages to react just in time to dodge Mineta's punch. Mineta throws another punch, but Ichijo still dodges the attack, and he finally subdues Mineta. Etsuoka is shocked to see this, and she believes that the potion's effect doesn't really work on weak users. However, Mineta lets her know that this is not the case. He believes that Ichijo is just too strong. Etsuoka then checks the data and realizes that the potion only increases speed and not strength. Ichijo tells Mineta that it is dangerous to use potions while he is away. Mineta tells Ichijo that there is nothing to worry about because Etsuoka has already calculated everything. Etsuoka then tells Ichijo that the results of the potion are just as he saw. She lets him know that the potion is almost complete, but 10% is the limit for numerical increases. Ichijo is aware that 100% is the limit value for beginner crystal stones. Zone levels have also been rising in the past days, but even at this, the highest level is 10. On the other hand, intermediate crystal stones can only be obtained in zones level 15 and above. Ichijo realizes that Etsuoka's research speed has already caught up to his zone conquest, and this tells him that he needs to work harder. Ichijo then asks Etsuoka if she can make more potions, because he needs them that night. Etsuoka replies that she can since she has memorized how to make them. She assures Ichijo that she is going to have them ready by evening. Ichijo is happy to hear this, and he tells Mineta to call Hatano. 2 hours later, Hatano shows up at the lab. While Ichijo is discussing with Hatano, Etsuoka is also having a discussion with Mineta. She asks Mineta if Ichijo has always been this strong. Mineta then reveals that he still has no idea what is happening because the Ichijo he knew before was a wimp, whom he always bullied, just until a few days ago. Mineta continues as he tells Etsuoka that Ichijo suddenly became strong and calm like a different person. In just a few days, Ichijo has gone from being bullied to becoming a big brother to the group. Etsuoka then realizes that Ichijo hasn't told anyone about the time leap and the fact that his power is from his previous life. Etsuoka then wonders what Ichijo's purpose is since he has lots of information about the future. On the other hand, Ichijo is telling Hatano about Tatsuya's birthday and his plan for the night. Hatano is surprised that Ichijo is still going ahead with his crazy plan, and Ichijo lets him know that he plans to defeat all of Tatsuya's forces, no matter what it takes. Hatano admits that things have been going well so far for them, but he lets Ichijo know that Tatsuya is on another level from the bosses that they have defeated. It is expected that Tatsuya will be well protected, and Hatano wants them to take things step by step. Ichijo replies that there is no time to postpone things, and with the potions, he believes that they have a chance to win. Since this is what Ichijo wants, Hatano has no choice but to follow his wishes. Ichijo tells Hatano that Etsuoka will make more potions, and he wants Hatano to choose guys who can actually fight. Ichijo also tells Hatano that he needs to perform his role of big brother perfectly that night. Ichijo tells Hatano that he has business to attend to and promises to join Hatano by night. Meanwhile, Tatsuya has also gotten wind of Hatano's recent victories, and the way he has been absorbing other groups. Tatsuya knows that Hatano still wants more territories, but he considers himself a person Hatano doesn't want to go against. He compares Hatano to a tree branch that gets cut off when it goes too far. Later that night, guests start to arrive for Tatsuya's party. Hatano and Hiraguri have positioned themselves in a building opposite Tatsuya's place. Hiraguri is worried that Ichijo hasn't shown up, but Hatano urges him to remain calm, assuring him that Ichijo will definitely show up. Hiraguri is worried that they are going to be at a disadvantage with many people being at the party. Hatano wonders where Ichijo is since he is the one who told them that they are going to be taking on Tatsuya that night. Hatano doesn't want to believe that Ichijo set him up, but at the same time he realizes that Ichijo could have killed them if he wanted to. The goons with Hatano suggest that they leave before it is too late, because there is no way they are going to take on Tatsuya with just a few people. However, Hatano tells them to shut up, letting them know that it is already too late for them to turn back. Hiraguri then calls Hatano for a private conversation. He lets Hiraguri know that he is being greedy, and he asks him if this is due to Ichijo's influence. However, Hatano lets Hiraguri know that he is perfectly calm. Hiraguri continues by telling Hatano that his decision to follow Ichijo is not wrong since he is strong, but they are going up against Tatsuya, who is very dangerous. To top it all off, Ichijo himself is not there yet. Hiraguri suggests that they apologize to Tatsuya, but Hatano lets Hiraguri know that it is already too late for an apology. Hiraguri comes up with another suggestion. He wants them to give Tatsuya the potions in return for forgiveness. He then urges Hatano to pick a side before it is too late. Hiraguri then ends his talk by telling Hatano that he is the boss and the final decision falls to him. The hall to the party is about to be sealed when Hatano finally makes his move. He and his group enter the hall, but unknown to them, Ichijo is standing on the rooftop, and he is watching everything unfold. Tatsuya is informed that Hatano has arrived, and he personally welcomes Hatano. He mentions the fact that he didn't send an invitation to Hatano, but he showed up anyway. Hatano smiles while telling the old man that he and his group came to celebrate. However, the old man doesn't think this is the case. He lets Hatano know that he might be old, but he is not weakened yet. Before Hatano and his guys know what is happening, they are surrounded by a bunch of goons under Tatsuya's orders. Realizing that they are outnumbered, Hatano tells the old man to calm down so that they can talk. Tatsuya believes that Hatano comes to take his territories, and even though Hatano wants to play along, he tells Tatsuya that he is right. He lets Tatsuya know that his target is his position. He runs at Tatsuya with the aim of taking him down, but Tatsuya's personal guard intervenes and blocks the punch. Tatsuya cannot believe that Hatano underestimated him. However, before he finishes his statement, Hatano grabs the bodyguard and slams him to the ground. Hatano then tells the rest of his guys to take care of Tatsuya's goons. Tatsuya is impressed with Hatano's plan so far. However, Tatsuya is not conceding defeat just yet. Suddenly, the guard Hatano thought he had knocked out suddenly stands back up. He grabs Hatano's head and smashes him to the ground. Hatano, being an experienced fighter, holds his opponent's hand, and before he can react, Hatano puts him in a headlock. The guard screams in pain when he realizes how powerful Hatano is. In desperation, he hits Hatano in the abdomen. Hatano screams in pain from the weight of the punch. The two then back off from each other to strategize. Tatsuya tells his guy to make sure he finishes the fight before the party starts. Tatsuya's guard takes off his suit so he can get more serious with the fight. He admits that Hatano and his guys are skilled, but he promises to take care of things. Hatano also admits that Tatsuya's guard is very strong. Even with the potion, Hatano is having a really hard time fighting the guard. Hatano comes to the conclusion that Tatsuya's guys are on a different level than those he has fought in the past. Hatano looks around and notices that his men are also struggling against those whom they are fighting. Hatano knows that once the potion effect wears off, they are done for. Since he has no time to think about this, Hatano focuses his attention on the strong guy in front of him. The guard rushes at Hatano, but Hatano dodges the attack and lands a counterblow on the enemy's face. However, this is not enough to move the guard. The security guard uses his elbow and lands a hit on Hatano's back, forcing Hatano to leave an opening. The guard grabs Hatano and throws him at a table. Hatano cannot believe that even with everything, the guard remains strong. Hatano looks around to see his men getting trashed by Tatsuya's men. At this point, Hatano is now looking back at his decision. He wonders if he made the wrong decision and should have just apologized and also asked for forgiveness, just like Hiraguri said. Hatano is now weak, and the guard is walking toward him with the intention to finish him off. The guard then tells Hatano that he has talent, and he promises to beg Tatsuya on his behalf if he begs. Hatano admits that since he met Ichijo, life has been tough, but he can't take away the fact that things have changed for good. Even though Hatano is at a disadvantage, he is not ready to bow down to Tatsuya again. He is tired of mugging kids for money, and he boldly tells the guard to bow down to him when he still has the chance. Hatano acts as if he has a trump card that he is hiding. He promises to make the guard his subordinate if he bows to him. The guard then decides that Hatano needs to die. Hatano brings out another potion to drink. Since he was able to reduce the power difference between him and the guard with just one potion, he believes that drinking two should at least give him an advantage. Just as he is about to drink the potion, Ichijo appears on the scene. He grabs the guard's hand before he can touch Hatano. Hatano is shocked to see Ichijo, and Ichijo apologizes for coming late. The guard immediately notices the power difference between him and Ichijo. With just one hit to the chest, Ichijo sends the guard flying. Ichijo then turns around to look at Hatano. He lets him know that drinking two potions will kill him. Hatano confesses that he was desperate and thought he would win if he drank two potions. Hatano then finally asks the important question. He asks Ichijo how he knew that he was about to drink the potion. It finally dawns on Hatano that Ichijo was testing him from the beginning. Hatano finally realizes that Ichijo was testing him to see if he would hand over the potion to Tatsuya. Hatano then reveals that it was a tough battle for him before he made his choice. He obviously knew that going to Tatsuya for forgiveness meant death. Hatano then tells Ichijo that he is going to show through his actions that he is someone he can rely on. Ichijo smiles when he hears this, and he commends Hatano for being smart. He then tells Hatano to give him orders. On the other hand, Tatsuya is mad at his security guy. He tells him to quickly finish things off. The security guy admits that he let down his guard because he saw Ichijo as a kid. Ichijo then openly tells Tatsuya to prepare himself because he is going to eliminate him. This gets Tatsuya mad, and he tells his guards to finish off Hatano and his group. Meanwhile, the rest of Tatsuya's guards have noticed Ichijo's presence in the hall. They saw him punch their strongest guy like it was nothing. Hiroguri then tells them to calm down and enjoy the show because they have not even seen anything yet. Tatsuya's personal guard, Kawase, doesn't see Ichijo as a threat because he believes that he is just a high school student. Ichijo then lets him know that the same high school student he doesn't think much of will be the one to defeat him. Kawase angrily runs at Ichijo and tries to hit him, but Ichijo dodges all of his attacks pretty easily. Kawase doesn't relent as he continues to go after Ichijo, asking him why he is only dodging his blows. Hatano cannot believe that Ichijo is toying with an opponent he could not beat even with the potion's power. Hatano, at that moment, realizes just how strong Ichijo is. The party guests are also observing what is happening, and with what they are seeing, they believe Hatano will come out victorious. Tatsuya is disgusted that his subordinates are already doubting him. Tatsuya has been in the game for 40 years, and he is not ready to be defeated by someone who just came from nowhere. However, with the way things are, Tatsuya knows even if he wins, his reputation cannot be the same. To try and prove that he has control over things, Tatsuya tells Kawase that he is giving him just one more minute to defeat Ichijo. Kawase is the one fighting Ichijo, and he can clearly see that Ichijo is a monster. Even after everything he has done, Ichijo's expression hasn't changed even if it is once. Kawase knows that he is at his limit and doesn't have what it takes to even touch Ichijo, not to mention defeating him. Kawase tries to engage in a battle of strength with Ichijo. He raises his leg and tries to hit Ichijo, but Ichijo blocks and meets him halfway with his own leg. Ichijo entertains Kawase's fight until he gets bored. Ichijo exploits the openings left behind by Kawase and kicks him in the chest. With just this kick, Kawase is thrown across the room like he is nothing. Everyone is shocked to see this, as they can't believe that Kawase was defeated by a high school student. Taking a closer look at Kawase, they realize that he might actually be dead. This creates even more mystery around Ichijo, since he just took down the organization's strongest guy with just a hit. Tatsuya immediately orders his men to go after Ichijo and kill him. He promises to make them Kawase's successor if they can defeat Ichijo. Without thinking twice, the guards start rushing to where Ichijo is. They all motivate themselves with the fact that Ichijo is just one kid. The first guy to reach Ichijo brandishes a knife, but Ichijo turns the tables on him. He grabs the knife and pushes it into the guy's shoulder. Now, armed with a knife, Ichijo runs through the guards like they are nothing. He slices their necks in quick succession, and Tatsuya, seeing this, concludes that Ichijo is not human. Just as Ichijo reaches him, he quickly stops him, asking that they talk. Tatsuya tries to play smart and reaches for his gun, but Ichijo throws the knife into his hand, also impaling his shoulder in the process. Tatsuya coughs up blood as he realizes that he is being defeated by a high school student. He doesn't want to believe this, but his strength leaves him, and he falls to the ground. The party guests are all shocked to see that Tatsuya is dead. This is the most unexpected thing that they could see in their lifetime. The man considered to be the big boss has just been defeated by low-ranking guys. On the side, Hatano is also shocked. He stands there in awe as he realizes that Ichijo seriously took down Tatsuya all by himself. Hatano is shocked when Ichijo addresses him as his boss. Hatano is so terrified that he doesn't know if he is worth calling a boss. Hatano cannot believe that in less than a week, Ichijo dragged the old fox who had made this land his stronghold for decades down to hell. Hatano admits that Ichijo has shattered all common sense in him. Hatano then faces the party guests to address them. He reiterates the fact that Tatsuya is dead. He then introduces himself to the guests, telling them how, until recently, he was mugging kids. In Hatano's mind, all he can think about is how Ichijo kept his promise of raising him up. Hatano continues his speech by telling everyone in the room that from that moment forward, he is their boss. Not long after this, Hatano's men show up at the financial district, where construction is ongoing under Nozomi's orders. Nozomi's guys are shocked when they hear Hatano's guys telling them that they need to pay a territorial fee. Nozomi soon receives a report about this from his assistant. Minagawa tells him that a bunch of people suddenly showed up on the site and beat up their workers while demanding that they pay territory fees. Nozomi is shocked when he hears that the men who came are affiliated with Tatsuya. Nozomi believes that Tatsuya has gone crazy because they have never defaulted on their payment in the past. Nozomi immediately orders that a call be put through to Tatsuya because he wants to know what the old man is thinking. However, Minagawa lets him know that they have been trying to reach Tatsuya since this happened, and they haven't gotten to him. Nozomi doesn't want the construction to be delayed, and he tells Minagawa to pay the money as Tatsuya demanded. Nozomi then drops the bombshell. He lets him know that they are asking him to show up, and it is not really about the money. Nozomi then decides that he will go to the site to check things out. Minagawa suggests that they ask his father for help since their target is Nozomi. However, Nozomi doesn't want to rely on his father so as not to show weakness. He believes that he will never surpass his father if he keeps relying on him. Moments later, Nozomi arrives at the site with a few of his guys with him. Since it is raining, they are all using umbrellas. Nozomi wastes no time before asking what Tatsuya wants with him. Just then, Hatano's rep lets Nozomi know that Tatsuya is no longer their boss. Nozomi's boys immediately become agitated, but Nozomi calms his boys. The representative talking to Nozomi then lets him know that their new boss is Hatano. Just like a regular big boss, Hatano appears from the shadows, shocking Nozomi. Nozomi cannot believe that Hatano also seized Tatsuya's territories just a few days after absorbing Ogane's territories. It immediately dawns on Nozomi that Ichijo will be with Hatano. He hasn't finished the thought when he realizes that Ichijo is the one holding the umbrella for Hatano. Since the construction deadline is near, Nozomi doesn't think he has the time to deal with Ichijo's theatrics. Nozomi then asks Hatano what he wants if it is not money. Hatano goes straight to the point, telling Nozomi that he is after his gold. Fear runs down Nozomi's spine when he hears this. He finally realizes that Hatano's group is the one that has been stockpiling gold. Hatano tells Ichijo that he is right, but lets him know that it is not enough yet. Nozomi then asks him what he plans to do with all the gold. Hatano doesn't give a direct answer to the question. He tells Nozomi that it is all but a hobby to him. Hatano then reminds Nozomi that he has a construction schedule that he is trying to meet. Hatano is aware of the fact that Nozomi is trying to prove his capabilities by finishing the project. Hatano urges Nozomi to pay up quickly so he can finish the construction project. Nozomi is impressed that Hatano has done his research. Since this is the case, Nozomi is ready to negotiate a price for the gold. However, Hatano straight up tells him that he is not buying the gold. He wants to collect the gold from Nozomi, and that is straight up without negotiations. Nozomi gets mad, telling Hatano that he is nothing but trash that doesn't have what it takes to talk to him. Hatano then tells Nozomi that since they can't do anything to him, they are going to delay the construction of his project. They both know how much the land is going to be worth in the future, so it is up to Nozomi to decide. Hatano reminds Nozomi that he is going to suffer a tremendous loss if the project is not finished when it is supposed to finish. Nozomi is shocked to hear this. Details about the project are supposed to be known only by insiders, and Hatano knowing this much just leaves Nozomi baffled. Hatano realizes that Nozomi is silent, and he teases him, asking him if he has lost what it takes to speak. Nozomi then mentions that Hatano's method is a truly befitting method for a trash like him. Hatano hears this, and he is furious. Nozomi continues to add more fuel to the fire by telling Hatano that he is nothing but a savage who relies on violence. He adds that Hatano is only acting high and mighty, playing negotiation games. Nozomi wastes no time before ordering his men to take down Hatano and his goons. Chaos immediately erupts in the rain. Minagawa rushes toward Hatano to try and take him out, but Ichijo is there to protect him. With just one hand, he blocks the guy's punch. Ichijo then grabs him and pulls him by the neck like it is nothing. Minagawa is shocked at how much strength Ichijo has within him. Hatano and Nozomi are now face to face with each other. Hatano tells Nozomi that he is not disputing the fact that he is savage, but he has climbed far in the game by risking his life. Hatano grabs Nozomi's tie, telling him that he was only born into a good family. Hatano says Nozomi is nothing but a brat acting superior by using his father's authority. Minagawa tries to make a funny move, but Ichijo puts him in his place by punching him so hard in the face. He tried another move by making an attempt to carry Ichijo, but Ichijo turned this on him and smashed him to the ground. Nozomi is shocked when he realizes that his strongest person, Minagawa, has been taken down. Nozomi tries calling Minagawa, maybe he is going to wake up, but his pal is completely knocked out. Minagawa is considered to be proficient in all martial arts, but he was easily taken down by Ichijo. Ichijo then faces Nozomi, asking him what he plans to do now that Minagawa is out of the equation. Nozomi realizes that the situation is clearly at a disadvantage for him. With a scary face, Ichijo lets Nozomi know that he can clearly read him. He knows that he is already planning to run and leave his comrades behind. Just as Ichijo predicted, Nozomi was actually trying to make a run for it. Nozomi wonders just who Ichijo is, and the fact that he can easily read his mind. Realizing that he is cornered, Nozomi promises to give Hatano everything that he demands. He only wants Hatano to accept his conditions so that he can prepare the money for him. Talking about his conditions, Nozomi wants Hatano to hand Ichijo over to him because he has been a pain in his ass since the day they met in the casino. Nozomi assures Hatano that he is also ready to fulfill whatever conditions he has. In Nozomi's mind, he wants to turn Ichijo and Hatano against each other since it will be much easier for him to eliminate Hatano once Ichijo is not in the picture. He also believes that there is no way Hatano will not fall for the tempting offer. Nozomi is shocked by Ichijo's response. He asks him if he thinks he can manipulate people the way he wants because his family has money. Ichijo then tells Nozomi that just hearing his voice alone makes him sick. Looking at how terrifying Ichijo is, Nozomi knows that he is done for. He starts begging Hatano to stop Ichijo. Ichijo then beats him up and leaves him at the construction site. Ichijo has no plans to unalive Nozomi just yet. On their way to base, Hatano asks Ichijo if he thinks Nozomi will just hand over the money without a hassle. Ichijo lets Hatano know that the construction project is very important to Nozomi, which is why he is going to hand over the gold. Hatano is impressed with how much knowledge he has on Nozomi. Ichijo then asks Hatano about the task he gave him. Hatano assures Ichijo that he has helped him secure a large warehouse in the countryside just like he instructed. He then sends Ichijo the location info for the warehouse. Hatano then brings out a card and stretches it to Ichijo. Ichijo asks him what the card is for, and Hatano tells him that it contains the organization's funds. He suggests that Ichijo hold on to the card. Hatano reveals that the organization is worth about $40 million in total. However, the card contains just about $10 million because he hasn't been able to liquidate the rest of the assets. Ichijo collects the card and figures that it is time for him to start stockpiling supplies. He also deduces that it is time for him to expand his inventory, which has been stuck at level 3. With the money he has collected, Ichijo decides to raise his inventory to level 10 immediately. Level 10 inventory has an area of 7 cubic meters. This is about the size of a phone booth, and Ichijo figures that with this, he can store a decent amount of resources. Ichijo decides to wander the street in search of zones, and he tells Hatano to stop the car. Hatano asks him where he is going and if he can help, but Ichijo tells Hatano not to worry himself. Hatano asks about the organization guys, and Ichijo tells him to do whatever he likes. Ichijo reminds Hatano that getting Nozomi's gold is the main goal. He also tells him to get the gold in physical form and put it in the warehouse he just secured. Finally, Hatano asks if he should wait in the car, but Ichijo tells him that he can go, assuring him that he will contact him if he needs anything. Just as he steps out of the car, he notices Etsuoka in the distance. He wonders what the lady is doing in such a place. Just then, he notices that Etsuoka is walking toward her boss, Kurazono. Seeing this, Ichijo figures out that the two had a meeting arranged. Ichijo is already boiling with rage as he sees this. Meanwhile, Nozomi wakes up in the hospital, surrounded by his friends. Nozomi talks about how humiliated he is while his body is covered with injuries. Ilman then confirms from Nozomi what Hatano wants from them. Minagawa joins the conversation with bandages all over his body. He says Ichijo is the real problem in the team because his movements are not ordinary. He also talks about the strange thing that happened during the fight. He reveals that Ichijo called his name while they were fighting. However, Lala doesn't put too much importance on this since their organization is popular and people tend to know their names during their dealings. Nozomi then cuts in, telling his friends that Minagawa might be right. This is because Ichijo has been hostile toward him since the first day they met. Nozomi then drops the shocker on his team. He tells them that he doesn't want to delay the construction schedule, and by this, they are going to hand over the gold to Hatano and his group. Although Nozomi has a deadly plan, he tells his friends that they are only handing the gold over temporarily. He is confident that they are going to get it back later. He swears to eliminate Ichijo and everyone who surrounds him, while also retrieving his money in the process. Etsuoka and Kurazono sit in a restaurant to talk. Apparently, Kurazono demanded some materials, and that is what Etsuoka brought for him. She thanks Kurazono for meeting with her, but Kurazono replies that he is not doing it for free. Kurazono claims that his workload has increased because of her absence from work. Etsuoka apologizes for the inconvenience that she might have caused. She then tells Kurazono that she is resigning from work and he can go ahead to take her salary to compensate for the time she was not at work. The only thing Etsuoka wants is the research materials that she owns. Kurazono then reveals that he is not interested in money. He admits that Etsuoka is beautiful, and what he wants is for Etsuoka to be by his side. He promises to return her materials if she does as he says. Etsuoka is shocked to hear this. Kurazono considers this a good deal for Etsuoka because her life as a forensic scientist will be secure too. Etsuoka then bluntly tells him that she cannot agree to what he is proposing. All she needs is her research materials, and she will get out of his business. Kurazono then arrogantly tells Etsuoka to give up. Etsuoka gets mad, and she stands up from where she is sitting. She reminds Kurazono that the materials belong to her, and he has no right to seize them. Kurazono admits that Etsuoka is right, but there is no way she can prove it, because Kurazono can just lie that the materials are classified information. He lets her know that she has no chance of winning against him. Etsuoka is forced to ask him why he is harassing her, and he simply replies that he needs to show dominance to others. Apparently, Kurozono took Etsuoka in so that he could have relations with her. He didn't care about her talent from the start. Kurozono urges Etsuoka not to waste her mother's efforts. This only gets the girl mad, and she pours coffee on him, telling him not to mention her mother. Kurozono gets mad and stands up to slap Etsuoka. However, before his hand can reach Etsuoka's face, Ichijo appears and holds him. Etsuoka is shocked to see the guy. Ichijo then tells Etsuoka to leave the rest to him. Kurozono also feels the immense strength in Ichijo's grip. Kurozono mocks Etsuoka for resigning because of a high school student. Kurozono already assumes that something is going on between Ichijo and Etsuoka, but Etsuoka scolds him, telling him to stop saying vulgar things. Ichijo doesn't want to waste time with Kurozono, and he asks him how much he wants in exchange for the materials. Kurozono arrogantly replies that he wants 10 million, believing that there is no way Ichijo will get the 10 million to pay him. Kurozono is shocked when Ichijo asks for his account number. Kurozono still believes that Ichijo is bluffing, and he promises to bow on his knees if Ichijo can pay the money. Even those in the restaurant believe that Ichijo has no chance whatsoever. However, Kurozono is left stunned when he receives a credit alert of 11 million. Ichijo tells him that the extra 1 million on the money is for the coffee that Etsuoka spilled on him. He then tells Kurozono that he doesn't need to bow. He tells him that all he needs to do is apologize to Etsuoka, and everything will be considered settled. Those in the restaurant who were initially doubting Ichijo are now left to wonder if Ichijo is some rich kid. Meanwhile, Kurozono is mad with the way things have turned out. He never expected Etsuoka to have such a good backing. Ichijo notices that Kurozono is hesitating, and he reminds him that he made a promise in front of everyone, and he can't go back on it. With shame, Kurozono bows to Etsuoka and apologizes for the way he acted. He then hands over her materials to her. After this, Etsuoka and Ichijo leave the restaurant. On their way to base, Etsuoka reveals her displeasure that Ichijo didn't beat Kurozono. She is also upset that Ichijo went ahead to give him money. Ichijo understands why Etsuoka is mad, and he assures her that he won't allow Kurozono to use the money. Etsuoka then apologizes for going to see Kurozono without saying anything. She lets Ichijo know that she only wanted to get her research materials and leave. Ichijo assures her that he is not mad since he witnessed everything that happened. He is just glad that he followed Etsuoka and everything worked out well. Ichijo then tells her to always take Mineta and the others with her in case of emergencies. Etsuoka acknowledges this and then asks Ichijo why he is in the area. Ichijo reveals that his work clothes got wet in the rain and he was in the area to get a change of clothes. As an apology for going out without saying, Etsuoka decides to escort Ichijo to where he wants to get the clothes. While in the store, Ichijo is spotted by Amane and her friend. They are shocked to see Ichijo in such a high-end store. They are also blown away that Ichijo has a pretty girl by his side. They assume that Ichijo is definitely sugar dating. However, they soon realize that they are wrong because Ichijo is the one paying for everything. Amane and her friend decide to follow Ichijo and Etsuoka. Meanwhile, Kurozono is walking down the street and at the same time thinking about how he wants to extort Ichijo again. He soon runs into Hatano, who tells him that he has come to teach him how to use the 11 million he just collected. Hatano starts rolling his sleeves to show Kurozono that he is about to receive the beating of his life. After Ichijo is done getting his clothes, they move to the skincare and makeup session so that Etsuoka can get things for herself too. Just then, Ichijo receives the notification that Hatano has dealt with Kurozono. Ichijo then shows Etsuoka evidence of what they have done to Kurozono. He lets her know that they have recovered 20 million yen from him, including his assets. In addition to this, they beat him up and left him at a dump. Etsuoka is happy to hear this and commends Ichijo for a job well done. Just then, Ichijo is approached by Amane and her friend. The two come on as friends to Ichijo and Etsuoka. With a cold stare, Ichijo asks Amane if she needs anything. Amane resorts to her usual tricks and tries to manipulate Ichijo. She tells him not to be cold toward him, urging him to treat her like he always did before. Amane assumes that this will get through to Ichijo, but he outrightly ignores her as if she doesn't exist. Amane's friend then tells her that Ichijo seems like a different person because he is not moved by what Amane is doing. Amane refuses to believe that Ichijo has changed. She decides to up her game by moving closer to Ichijo. She tries rubbing her melons against Ichijo's hands, but he just pushes her away. Ichijo tells her not to put on such a disgusting act, and this really gets to Amane. Amane gets mad, telling Ichijo that he is supposed to be happy because she is even giving someone like him her attention. Amane then turns to Etsuoka, telling her that Ichijo is a poor brat. Amane continues by saying Ichijo probably spent all of his money at the clothing store. She advises Etsuoka to leave Ichijo because she is beautiful and deserves someone who can take care of her. In Amane's mind, she is exposing all of Ichijo's embarrassing history, believing that this will be enough to chase Etsuoka away. The attendants are now aware that there is an argument going on in the store. However, the two attendants cannot agree on who should stop the argument. The new attendant finally gets from her seat to intervene. She assumes that the students have no money to buy things in the store, which is why they are arguing. The attendant approaches Amane and Ichijo, telling them to not raise their voice because it is disturbing the other customers. Amane then uses the opportunity to trash-talk Ichijo. She tells him that the store is not for poor people. She suggests that Ichijo and Etsuoka drop everything they have bought and leave. Even the attendant is disappointed when she sees Ichijo browsing without buying anything. She is about to send Ichijo off when she hears him make an order. Ichijo tells the attendant that he wants everything in the store. Even Amane and her friend are shocked to hear this. In addition to this, Ichijo plans to buy everything in the back room too. He tells the attendant to calculate everything, and he will pay with his card. The attendant doesn't want to believe that she is hearing right, but Ichijo assures her that he is getting everything. The attendant then takes Ichijo's card for confirmation. Etsuoka scolds Ichijo for doing too much. However, Ichijo lets her know that he is not doing too much since money will become worthless very soon. He plans to convert everything to supplies instead. Amane then tries calling Ichijo to order, telling him that he is overspending, but Ichijo shuts her up by letting her know that whatever he does is none of her business. Amane's friend calls her to the side. She urges her to ask Ichijo for forgiveness before it is too late, because all evidence points to the fact that Ichijo is rich. However, Amane still doesn't believe that Ichijo has the money to buy everything in the store. When the new attendant informs her boss of what Ichijo said, she is shocked. She is attending to a customer before, but immediately tells her that everything they have in the store is sold out. The attendants start taking stock of everything they have in the store, and 20 minutes later, they approach Ichijo with the bill. The attendant tells Ichijo that everything in the store amounts to 120 million yen, but the manager is willing to give him a 20% discount. Ichijo is given a contract to sign. Amane and her friend are left in total disbelief when they hear the total amount of money that Ichijo needs to pay. Without hesitation, Ichijo collects the contract and signs it before telling the attendant the address where he needs the goods to be delivered. In disbelief, the attendant assures Ichijo that they are going to make the delivery in 3 days. Amane's friend then urges her to apologize. Reluctantly, Amane apologizes, telling Ichijo that she is interested in him, which is why she said those hurtful things. Without holding back, Ichijo lets Amane know that he has no interest in her. With this, Ichijo and Etsuoka walk out of the store, leaving Amane to regret her choices. Etsuoka talks about how good the shopping experience is. She asks Ichijo if she should buy things in advance too. Ichijo lets her know that everything will become much worse during the apocalypse. In fact, they can buy a person with a loaf of bread. Upon hearing this, Etsuoka suggests that they continue shopping. Suddenly, Ichijo senses a special zone in the area. He then tells Etsuoka to go home first. He says their shopping spree for the day has ended. Standing in front of Ichijo is a level 15 special zone, and he plans to conquer it. In no time, Ichijo clears the level 15 special zone as he has gotten much stronger. After exiting the zone, he gets a call from Hatano, telling him that Zonomi's gold has arrived, and in total it amounts to 1 ton. Hatano asks Ichijo what to do, and he tells him to put it in the warehouse. Ichijo also tells him that he is going to send him a shopping list. He wants Hatano to buy everything he can buy on the list. After saying this, Ichijo wastes no time hanging up because he has something he needs to attend to. When Hatano receives the list, he is shocked. He wonders if Ichijo is trying to buy up the entire city with the kind of list he sent. Ichijo already considers the problem of money and supplies as a thing of the past. What is most important to him now are crystal stones. Just then, he notices that a new zone is appearing in the distance. He wonders if the zones are frequently appearing now that the apocalypse is close. Nonetheless, he still enters to conquer it. Several weeks later, Mineta and Etsuoka talk about how they have not seen Ichijo in weeks. Unknown to them, the apocalypse is coming in a day. However, Etsuoka is aware of the apocalypse deadline, and this gets her worried. She hasn't seen Ichijo since they went shopping together. She also doesn't expect Ichijo to disappear at such an important time when he is needed the most. Suddenly, Ichijo appears in the room, greeting Etsuoka and Mineta. The two are gripped with fear because of Ichijo's sudden appearance in the room. Without even saying too much, Ichijo tells the two to get ready because they are going out. Ichijo then drives the two to the warehouse where Hatano is waiting for them. Hatano tells Ichijo that he went around several cities, but he has finally gotten everything that Ichijo wanted. Mineta and Etsuoka enter the warehouse to see how stocked and arranged it is. They are blown by this, but have so many questions that they want answers to. Hatano tells Ichijo that everything he put on the list is in the warehouse, and also there is another warehouse similar to this next door. Hatano reveals that he emptied 4 supermarkets. Basically, there is food, water, gasoline, generators, and daily necessities. With everything that Hatano has secured in the warehouse, he believes that it is enough for several people to live their entire lives. However, the question of how Ichijo is going to preserve the items remains. Ichijo then asks Hatano where the gold is. Hatano replies that the gold is in the back, and Ichijo orders everyone to follow him. Apparently, for the past few days, Ichijo has been conquering zones day and night. By clearing zones up to level 50, Ichijo has been able to collect enough crystal stones to expand his inventory to level 40. Ichijo plans to put everything in the store inside his inventory in preparation for the apocalypse. Ichijo then tells the guys to watch him and pay close attention. Ichijo drops a box full of gold bars, and he starts to combine them with crystal stones. The gold morphs with the crystal stones and then disappears. Apparently, 1 ton of gold equals a level 40 inventory area. A level 40 inventory area is also 350 cubic meters. This is almost the size of 2 basketball courts. Mineta and Hatano are taken aback by what they are seeing. They have so many questions, but Ichijo tells them to keep quiet and watch him. He promises to answer all of their questions once he is done. Ichijo then grabs one of the boxes and places it in the inventory, causing it to disappear from the real world. Ichijo then goes straight to the point. He tells them that it is up to them to believe or not. He lets them know that at midnight, the zombie apocalypse will arrive in the world and special zones filled with zombies will also appear. Inside the special zones, zombies will attack humans, order will collapse, and humanity will have no choice but to fight on their own. Ichijo explains that what they saw was his personal supply storage inventory. He assures them that when the apocalypse comes, they will also have one. He adds that inventory size is determined by level, and it greatly affects whether they will survive or not. Ichijo reveals that one of the materials needed for inventory expansion is gold, and this is why he had Hatano collect gold. He tells them that there is only half a day for the apocalypse to arrive, and he urges them to prepare themselves by then. Mineta doesn't want to believe, and Ichijo reminds him that he already told him that he is free to believe or not. Ichijo assures them that he is not going to allow those who have helped him suffer. Because of this, he is willing to give them enough supplies to survive the early apocalypse. He suggests that they take the supplies. Hatano acknowledges everything Ichijo said, and he loads supplies into a truck. After he is done loading the supplies, Ichijo tells him to hurry home and prepare. Before leaving, Hatano tells Ichijo that their time together might be short, but he believes his story, and he is also glad that he told them. Hatano tells Ichijo to let him know if there is anything he can help with. Ichijo then tells Hatano to survive, and with this, Hatano drives off with a truck filled with supplies. After Hatano is gone, Ichijo tells Etsuoka to follow him because they still have things to attend to. However, Etsuoka remains where she is standing. Ichijo knows Etsuoka has something that she wants to say, and he tells her to let it out. Etsuoka bursts out with anger, scolding Ichijo for not telling her about the inventory. In addition, she wants to know why Ichijo pushed away Hatano and Mineta, who have helped them. She believes that it would be nice if they all stayed together since it will be safer that way. Ichijo then tells Etsuoka that in the apocalyptic world, humans can be more terrifying than zombies because this is something he has seen firsthand. Ichijo explains that when people who are experiencing the apocalypse for the first time get excessive resources, it usually backfires. Ichijo then tells Etsuoka that people are not born selfish. They only react to the world they live in. Ichijo tells Etsuoka that he will end their partnership if she doesn't have a strong resolve going into the apocalypse. Before Ichijo can say anything further, Etsuoka enters the warehouse, telling Ichijo that she has things that she still needs to do. She also tells Ichijo not to doubt her resolve. Apparently, Etsuoka is also prepared for the apocalypse. With a minute left, Ichijo tells her to say goodbye to the world as she knows it. He mentions that this is the last time they are going to breathe air that doesn't smell of blood. Meanwhile, Mineta and Hatano are also preparing for the apocalypse in their own best way. The countdown to the apocalypse reaches 0, and just then, the special zones descend on the world.